Good morning, friends. Good, the mic's working. Hello, everyone. I don't think Infernal is as OP as people are complaining about, but we'll see. It's not as OP as it was in 0.4.1, I'll tell you that much. But it might just be as OP as people say it is in 0.4.2. It is strong. Charge Brute is strong, and we are just waiting here for brackets to be complete. Brackets in preview, tournament has not started just yet, so I can't tell you what we're going to be covering just yet. But a big shout out, by the way, to Aureil for organizing this thing. Makes my life a lot easier when I'm not trying to pull people together for a show match on Sunday. I just get to show up and cast. Yes, please. Not complaining about that one in the slightest. It looks like we got about 16. Yeah, 16 people checked in today, which means we're going to have 4 rounds of this tournament. Format, of course, is best of 3s up until the round of 4. The round of 4 is best of 5s, and the finals are, in fact, a best of 7. So that's a pretty standard format. Good time. We got Mixu showing up today. Theory. I tried to get him to play in my tournaments for a while, but he'll show up for Ariel or something, apparently. It's just been timing. We got Ruskov, we got Snockstar, Ariel, of course, playing in their own event, Mixu playing, a game friend, WWD, Yoru, Wallace, who shows up occasionally and looks really good, to be clear. A bunch of people. So I'm just waiting for the bracket to be finalized. How's everyone's Sunday going? Hey, Good Lord Master. Glad you enjoyed the content I put out. I love, by the way, and man, I'm always torn on YouTube videos. Like, how heavily do I moderate the comments? Because on the one hand, absolutely, you're entitled to your own opinion. On the other, I do want a positive community. But the people are like, wow, you know, you've apparently, I always think it's funny. There was a rash of comments in the most recent interview where someone was trying to tell people that I am getting paid by Frost Giant for everything. I wish. That'd be really nice. It's not actually the thing. What are my thoughts on creep camps? Remco asks. And what do I think Frost Giant could do to improve them to make them more viable in 1v1 setups? Because lately I don't see players make use of them. I don't know what games you're watching, Remco, because I will tell you at the highest level, you'll see a good majority of creep camps get taken every game. Now, I do think that they are not the most interesting way they are right now, but I think for me, that's a matter of placement, much more so than the fact that they are creep camps or not creep camps. That's a matter of placement. That'd be nice, Classicus, especially as a grad student. But anyways, they should go and it's a matter of placement. So to make creep camps more interesting, I would like to see less of them. So, and less of those edge camps. So you like think of Boneyard and it is, okay, bracket is final. Good to know. We're gonna do Mixu versus Rustov is round 2. We're gonna do Ruskov versus Thanks. Ruskov versus Thanks into the Mixu R2 matchup. All right. All right. So, yeah. So, going back to creep camps for a second, they need to be more centralized, closer to, say, Ruination and how those camps are compared to, say, Boneyard or something like that. Round 2, I think there should be a longer interaction time with the rewards you get. Health camp, sure, fine. I don't really have a lot of complaints there. But I think there should be camps that are interesting to interact, that have a longer interaction time. Say, for example, it drops an item. And I'm not talking like, you know, a blink dagger or something. I'm not talking like a hero item like what Warcraft 3 had or, you know, StarCraft had, something like that. I am much more talking about, oh, it drops a banner. The banner is going to be able to go. You run across, you take it back home, you plant the banner. I've talked about this a lot, and it speeds up your production time by 50% for the next minute. Everything in the area effect. So now my opponent sees that I've taken this banner. There's a notification that I've taken this banner. And I am going to take it. I see that this is there. Units carrying it. They need to get it back to their base to go and get their timing, or a proxy get their timing. Now I'm incentivized to go harass that army and try to bomb on top of that unit to make sure they don't get that item back home, because it's going to drop then. And then even if they do get it back home, I'm very incentivized to get some harassment happening so I can go and Yum Young Hungry. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. It's 4 months. But then they're incentivized to go harass, and they're incentivized to go to my base where that banner is that is giving me this big power spike and to kill it off. Because then, well, I don't have that timing. And that's that long interaction time. That's that long incentive of interaction that goes from the center of the map where the creep camp was all the way back to my base, and stays in my base even as I'm trying to get interactive with it, even as I'm trying to get aggressive with it. Things like that I think would be very, very interesting. Also, hello there, Bakano Proto. It's been a while. How are you? So that's a long answer to a short question, but I would like to see things like that a little bit more. I don't know if that's where they're gonna go. And also, in fairness, I think a lot of this creep camp, potentially, I'm not a big Age of Empires person, Salsum, but if what I'm describing is like a relic in Age of Empires, then I will 100% believe that. Also, by the way, if you're on YouTube, I am seeing your comments. I had this overlay that was general. I need to go back and see what it is. This was supposed to show both YouTube and Twitch, and I cannot get it to show my YouTube comments anymore, live chat anymore, which is very sad. But yes, also, if you say it's like Age of Empires relics, I'll believe that. To my knowledge, though, well, I don't know, actually. I don't know enough about Age of Empires to properly make judgments. Well, I mean, listening YouTube plus Twitch, for some reason it didn't show up. Yeah, Jinjin. So the chat here, I have a tool right here off screen that you cannot see that lists my YouTube and my Twitch chat, so I can see both of you. But this chat overlay right here, for whatever reason, I cannot get it to pick up the YouTube broadcast, because YouTube just does things a little bit differently, and I need to take some time and dive into it and actually show it, make it work. But anyways, I can see things. I see y'all. Hello. I'm talking to you on YouTube and Twitch. I just, for whatever reason, I cannot get the YouTube stuff to show up. I should give AoE 4 a try. It's a good game. I tried really hard to like it when it released, and I was way too turned off by all of the quality of life that it was missing. So, and a bunch of issues. So maybe I should give it another shot. I have not touched the game in a long time. I think camp should allow a permanent buff and size increase to a select hero per capture with creep camp providing different buffs. Well, King Daz, there are no heroes in 1v1, so that's not going to work out unless we add heroes in 1v1. And I know there are people from the Warcraft 3 community that would love to have 1v1 as a thing. They would love, or they would love to have heroes in 1v1. They would love that. They say, look, camps don't make sense unless you have 1v1. Or camps, unless you have heroes, excuse me. Camps don't make sense unless you have one. Camps don't make sense unless you have heroes, which I disagree with, by the way. That is a non sequitur. You can have camps without heroes, and you can have heroes without camps, and they do not require each other. In general, and we see this in Warcraft 3 as well, there is a higher concentration of power around the heroes. It makes sense that there's powerful units. And that's just not the type of RTS I enjoy as much, but we will have them in 3v3. I don't have the patience for any AoE games, going back to AoE 2. That's fair. An AoE game is a lot longer than a StarCraft style game. Heroes are great. They make mirror matchups more interesting. That is, you know, Hoki 2010, that's a fairly solid argument for heroes, actually. I don't think it makes up for the reasons to not have heroes in the game that they're making, but it does mean that 1v1, I think the mirror matchups are often best in a StarCraft style RTS or a Blizzard style RTS when there are multiple win conditions. So for example, Muta versus Roach in ZVZ, Mech versus Bio versus Marine Tank in StarCraft 2, or in TVT, things like that, where players are working on different compositions trying to achieve roughly the same result at the end of the day, winning the game, you know. But at the on the other side, sitting there and they're trying to do it differently. So the Muta player is going to be playing far more on the harass side, poking around the edges, trying to build enough of an advantage so that they can eventually go in and fight this Roach Hydra ball, this Roach Hydra lurker ball, whatever it is. They have enough economic advantage that they can win the day. Meanwhile, the Roach player is either trying to win the game with a push, and if that doesn't work out, they're going to go and they're trying to turtle on 3 to 4 bases, get a lot of queens out, get spores out, and get themselves up to, in Legacy of the Void, get themselves up to Hive, get some Vipers on the field, build this one punch. Meanwhile, the Muta player is trying to prevent them from getting that one punch up and ready to go. And I think that's really interesting. Or I think that's really interesting. Or BeoMulf versus or BeoMulf versus Mech, where the Mech player again is playing this more defensive style, trying to build this massive army, and the Bio player understands that, not BeoMulf, the Bio player understands they probably are not ever going to be able to truly win a head-up engagement. That's just not going to be a thing. Your Bio versus a bunch of tanks, it's just not going to work. But instead, they're looking for the surround. They're looking for the counterattack. They're looking to out-expand their opponent. They're looking to zerg the map, as it were, and just go take all the bases and hit some crazy drops and make things happen like that. And it's asymmetrical design, or it's asymmetrical win conditions. And I really like those games. I think those, when both styles are viable, I think that's really cool. Now, of course, is that always the case? Is that always viable? Well, you do have to have a big enough, what's the word? You have to have a big enough unit roster for that to be viable. And we're not there in Stormgate right now. You have 2 tier 1 units that exist for Infernals right now. Maybe you call it Hexen tier 1.5, but 2 tier 1 units, a couple more tier 2 units, but there's not a lot of overlap in roles. So you pretty much are just going to get everything in every game. Yeah, maybe a game you don't get Spriggans or something, fine. But there's not enough units in the roster that allow you to have differing styles, if that makes sense. Not as easily. So I am looking forward to seeing that continue to evolve and change. By the way, also, I'm kind of happy in that I have figured out the majority of my DLSS issues. It turns out when the dragon spawns, that is the only thing that causes it right now. Actually, we're going to do WWD is fairly good, right? Of course, they were saying, I wish I could watch your interview, but if they discuss campaign, which I have not played, we do discuss a lot of campaign. It's going to sit in the watch later forever. You could play the campaign Corsair, and then you would be able to watch. Just saying. What if creep camps provided different tech paths? Can you expand on that, Voice Samuel? What do you mean by that? Would it be a good idea if Stormgate had two versions of 1v1, where there's 1v1 with heroes and 1v1 without heroes? That is trying to split the hair too much in a way where they are already doing so by having heroes in 3v3 and not in 1v1. If you are... We're gonna do Theory WWD just because it's taking too long. Game's already started. Waited too long. What's the word? Can we please have a lobby? All right. We're gonna get that hosted up pretty soon. So I could very much see a custom game mode that gets supported by the community where they do have heroes, and it is a more hero style 1v1 game. And I can see that being popular. I don't think, again, I think Frost Giant has to pick a lane, either 1v1 with heroes or 1v1 without heroes, and just go with it, which is what they've done. They've said, we're not going to have heroes in this game mode, which I think is fine. It's my personal preference. And I say this as a person, I play a lot of MOBAs, I play a lot of Dota, but for my RTS games, I really do want this 1v1, this thing where there's just a little bit less force centralization or power centralization, and then what heroes generally give you. I kind of like creep camps as it is. You can farm them for a little bit if you want, but you don't have to. You can just ignore them. I don't like being forced to always farm them. So economically, I agree with you, Goat Lord Master. Creep camps are in an okay spot now. They are one of the big reasons still why Infernals are stronger than Celestials, are stronger than Vanguard, because they are in the situation where they're just, Infernals can creep a lot faster. So there's, even though the economy is not as relevant, Infernals are still getting a lead off the camps because they can just creep faster than the other two factions can. Even if we say we're going to keep creeps as it is, which I don't think they're going to do, by the way. I don't know this. I don't know anything about this, but I don't think they're keeping it at, I don't think they're going to keep the creeps the same. They've already talked about wanting to revamp them to make them more interesting. I would be very much in favor of having it so creep camps, level 1 creep camp, maybe, once you get into the game and everyone can contest camps, it's fine. But I would be very much in favor of having level 1 creep camps have no bounty, give you no money whatsoever. Maybe the vision camp might, the higher tier, the beefier camps, the vision camp and the luminite camp, those maybe give you resources at bounty that first spawn because they're not level 1 camps. But the level 1 camps, I don't think should give resources. They give other advantages. They give you speed. They give you healing. Those are nice. But they are the big reason right now why Infernals at the high levels are kind of strong, and kind of always have been the reason that Infernals at the higher levels have been really strong. Do we know anything about the money they got? Ixtros Sorksy asking. So yes and no. On the one hand, and I was working on a video for this, but I tried to reach out to some people that understand venture money better than, like the venture cap or the venture development economy better than I do. All right, we're just waiting for Cynical Ruskov to show up. Yeah, it was a massive campaign update back in a proto. I'm not a connoisseur of RTS campaigns to be able to tell you whether it is really good or not. It's not where I live, but I can tell you I had a lot of fun. And even though there are some things that are very rough, that are still rough around the edges, it's a lot better. And the new cinematic, the new intro cinematic they have is like legitimately awesome. Legitimately, it's very cool. But anyways, going back to the money for a second, we know they received somewhere between $1 and $1.75 million already. I'm unclear about this. Up to $3 million from what is assumed Bitcraft. And they've received somewhere between 1 to 1.75 as of February 18th of this year. Now, oh no, the first iteration was objectively horrible, but it was in their own words, it was a tech demo. In their own words, it was in fact a tech demo. But anyways, we know that they got around somewhere between 1 and 1.75. They were burning north of $1 million a year, or $1 million a month. So by that definition, they should theoretically be not running right now. So clearly there is something that there is room to hope. They're still able to produce. They're still able to develop. We haven't heard anything about mass layoffs, things like that. So I would not be surprised to hear more news in the future about additional funding rounds, because just based on how much they were spending last year, there was no way that $1 million keeps them afloat for 5 months now. So we're good. This is where it is. We're going to move into game 1 of Thanks and Senegalo Ruskov. And let's get into it. Oh, come on here. Please. Pick up my game. There we go. All right. Spawning the bottom right. Into the blue, the Vanguard player. Saying please. He's saying thanks. And the upper right, the Inferno player in the red from France and Senegal. It's Ruskov. A Gaetano Evangelista saying, I'm really interested to see what the next wave of tier 3 units hit. I feel like this will fundamentally change everything in the game. How many do you think we're getting? That is something I do not know. I wish I did. I wish I had an idea. Probably at least 2. Why? I'm assuming probably at least 2 per faction. We're also going to get some more tier 2 units as well. We're also going to get some more tier 2 units as well, which is pretty cool. I would also like to see some more tier 1 units, but with how quickly you get up to tier 2 in this game, it does not take all that long. With how quickly you get up to tier 2, saying, we're going to put more flexibility at that tier 2 level is not crazy. By the way, Bakana Proto, thank you for getting the prediction going. It is Ruskov, though, not Rustov. As often as I say Rustov, it is, in fact, Ruskov. But that is my fault here. So, from Thanks, we got a 3 racks opening. He's going to play Bio in this early game. He's going to try to see what he can get done with some Lancers. And we are going to see also why it is that Infernal is seen as the leading race right now. Now, I don't know that we're going to get another patch on 0.4. I would assume that the next patch we get is 0.5, because that's going to have more of the Infernal rework, maybe some Vanguard rework. It does not make sense to, now that we are like roughly in a good state of balance, it's not perfect. As a nice little snipe there from the dog prevents maybe some phantoms from getting eventually spawned, but the curse has been, well, actually, de-applied. So yeah, that's going to prevent some phantoms, which is very nice there. There we go. Oh, I need to run this script that I forgot to run. 1 second. Video deleter. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. We're gonna miss that highlight. That's fine. Where was I? Yeah, talking about, I don't think we're gonna see another patch in this meta. I think we're gonna see one for 0.5, which I imagine comes, well, I don't know. I don't know how quickly it's gonna show up, but we do know that September 30th is kind of the hard deadline for 1.0. Now, actually, out of those filings, because they're gonna release in Q3, theoretically. Now, if they get more investment, they can delay it. That'd be awesome. But theoretically, they're going to go and invest, or they're going to release in Q3 of this year, which is ending September 30th. So based on their cadence, that's a couple more patches. And I would not be surprised to see that cadence increase a little bit as we truly enter crunch and try to get what it is that we would like, that Frost Giant is able to develop the game that they would like to play. But this is very interesting coming out of Ruskov. In Vanguard versus Infernal, the problem has long been described as, well, in this patch at least, as brutes are too strong. Brute Charge is way too good. Infernal Fury is incredibly strong. But that's not what Ruskov is going for. His Nightfall is going to try to land here, slow down some of these Lancers, and is going to get maybe one. Nah, it's going to be, yeah, okay, he's got a healing camp. He should be fine. Not going to tick down on this one. But Ruskov is not going for your standard massive brute nonsense. He will eventually. He does have the Hellforge going down somewhere, but he's gone for triple Shadow Spire, and well, Thanks is just gonna get on top of him, trap him in here, and the Gaunts just have to run away, but the Lances are fast. They're getting a lot of damage done. Exo's killing off a lot of these brutes as well. This is a beautiful trade for Thanks in this early game, and now a couple Fiends are gonna run by, see if they can get some harassment. At the very least, it's some scouting that has been done, but that's a lot of this army of Ruskov. It's dead in the ground. Now, in fairness here, so man, it's actually on, I haven't really noticed this, but on the Bobs, or on the new servos, it's a little harder to see that they're overcharged compared to what the effect used to be. But Spriggans are now on the field, and remember, one of the reasons that the supplies were relatively equivalent for Thanks and for Ruskov before this point was he was saving a lot of money to get all of these Spriggans out, and Spriggans, they can be okay. Man, did Thanks get a scout in? I don't know if Thanks saw this, but he's got sentry posts on the way. He's got a lot of X's already. That's just fine. He's got quick draw. Actually, no quick draw on them. Okay. Interesting there. Okay, you don't want a buzzsaw turret here. There we go. There's the flak cannon. So, oh, this poor Lancer just kind of stuck here. It's not where he wants to be. But it is very surprising to see no quick draw hustle done. Nothing on the biolab at all. But you're going to have to play at home a little bit defensively here. Actually, no repair on this flak turret. It is going to get ramparted by, well, it's going to get defended by the rampart. And these Spriggans are just not doing a lot of damage. This is one of the reasons. Spriggans got birthed. Well, sure, we'll call it a birth. Individual Spriggans are not as good as they were in 0.3, but you get 2 of them per charge now instead of 1. And they each do they don't do half as much damage. So overall, it is a net buff to Spriggan play, but each individual Spriggan does die a little bit easier. Each individual Spriggan does not do quite as much damage, and they change the way it scales. It's now 1 attack instead of 3. So it's a little bit different there. But Thanks has realized what's happening here. He's gotten the solid scout out on things, and that means that he's got hunters on the map, or hornets on the map. There we go. Not hunters, or not really a thing, but nice. Nightfall going to go down on a lot of these servos. That's going to be a bunch of phantoms turning over. This 4th base is not going to be allowed. Oh no, it did complete. That's not bad. A lot of fiends on the, or a lot of phantoms on the ground, and the hornets are going to start to arrive. Hornets deal with this very well, but we need to see a repair here. Bobs are not being pulled over in time, and this is going to be a dead base. Skymine's not dropped in time to defend, and that's going to be a 4th base down. It was fully completed. Thanks thought he was going to be able to get away with it, and instead that did not happen. Of course, RLV, when I say roughly good spot and balance, I mean not as broken as was in 041. I don't know that we're going to get another hotfix. I would be down for it. I think brutes need to be brought down once again, 100%. But I don't know that we're going to get another one, given now that we are 3 weeks into 0.4, and that is roughly halfway to 0.5 based on the previous patch cadence. So that's kind of where I'm sitting on this. It's like, I don't know that just based on dev time, we're going to get another one. I think upgrades that become permanent after the first capture of a camp, non-stackable, 3 to 6 upgrades available in total, after which camps could augment MS. And I actually do not like permanent upgrades, Voice of Samuel, as the Scout Mines are going to do a very nice job there of keeping these Spriggans out away from everything. I don't like permanent upgrades. That's called snowballing more than it already is. Man, I do, of the redesigns, I think the Hornets are the ones that are just kind of a little bit lacking. You know, having sat and played with them for a couple weeks is not as bad as I was. I used to be. I'm like, wow, this is horrible. Now I'm like, it's okay. If they just kind of sleeked out the edges, it would probably be fine. They're growing on me just a little bit. But anyways, Hornets are going to be able to doing a good job of keeping these Spriggans away. Ruskov has built himself a fairly significant supply lead. And the question, I mean, how do you deal with this number of brutes? It's a very difficult question to answer. There are Hexen, there's Miasma behind this. There are no Atlases here. There's nothing really to keep this happy, keep it simple, keep it safe. And Thanks is just gonna get run over by just the Miasma and the brutes and everything else. And this is gonna be a dead Vanguard player. And it's one of those things where you can argue that Thanks should have been macroing better. Yep, absolutely. That is a very real statement to make. He also lost his 4th base, where maybe he would have rather not done so. But at the end of the day, I don't know that there's a good answer to this number of brutes just kind of running at you. Not really. I think the answer is maybe kind of like maybe if you play mech, Vulcan Atlas or something. But yeah, it's just a little bit awkward. So the brutes are going to roughshod through everything. Thanks is dead, even if he's not tapping out just yet. And to be clear, Ruskov is a far better Infernal than Thanks is a Vanguard player, just even before the patch. He's a much higher ranked player. We should not be surprised, but Brute's a good unit. So game 1 goes the way of Ruskov. Thanks has been crushing you on ladder. Yeah, he's not bad, but he's not Ruskov. Quick turn on is useful now that brutes are 300% faster, says Turlog. Well, they're not 300% faster. That was rolled back. But yeah, it is now that Exos do not have the free infinite kite. I will admit the visual Stormgates have improved a lot with the latest patch, and I love the changes they made for campaign. It feels a lot better to play. Yeah, it looks a lot better. It feels a lot better. The campaign is actually a campaign now, which is not where it was before. It was not a campaign. Did not count as a campaign previously. So what if prior to a game, players could pick a relic to complete via capturing creep camps? Could be a top bar ability. So say you have to capture 5 health camps, and that gives you something. For the sake of example here. Do I like the concept of out-of-game priorities? Of out-of-game decisions impacting the way you have to play in game outside of, because you're going to have a map choice already. And my gut says no, but I don't know if that's my gut saying no just to be contrary, or like actually my gut saying I don't know how much I'm going to like this. So my gut says that does reduce some flexibility, and it kind of already, it's going to tell your opponent what you're going to be trying to do before the game even starts, which minimizes the impact of scouting a little bit. Also, that would work for customs. You'd have to have some sort of... Sorry, I just knocked a bunch of papers off my desk. Yeah, so like, are you gonna have bans? The other question would be, are you gonna have bans before the game starts, like some sort of pick ban format for what the relic would be? After you get selected for a map game, or for like a map choice, I don't know. I think there are ways you can make it happen. I'm not saying no to it, but I'm not saying that it is. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I have to think about that more. There's the thing in League of Legends where after killing 4 dragons, then it provides a large, permanent buff. They also have which is I think close to what Samuel is saying. They also have this, what's it called? The thing that like, if you kill more heroes in the top lane or whatever, you hit a bunch of things, then you get this mini boss that spawns at like 20 minutes. Based on we'll talk about it a little bit more. Game 2 is ready. Yeah, so eventually I don't think that this game needs stacking of objectives to force people to go out and interact, because like the goal of creep camps is to is to punish turtling by itself. I don't think you need to stack those values. in order to continue to punish turtling. Already, if you sit at home and your opponent takes all the creep camps, you are going to be the one that's going to have an advantage. You're going to have a lot more. You're going to have more healing. You're going to be faster. You're going to be mining more Illuminite. You're going to have more vision on the map. They are already a ton of advantages. So I like the concept of fighting over camp spot on a proto in terms of forcing players to interact on the map and be interesting. As by the way, this is going to be a double vault conclave. No natural, because this is, well, actually it's secluded grove, so it's not actually a super short map. I'm a little surprised to see Ruskov going for something like this and delay his natural so very much. It's not what we see a lot of people do. Is actually he pulled 2 imps down, which is not something he really wanted to do. But he's going to start to creep out a little bit. He will have a lot of units early. I would not be surprised. Actually, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised to see a quick Hellforge, but he could already have a Hellforge on the map. He's choosing not to. Instead, this is just for like utter creep dominance. That's what this is. Two brutes, 2 gaunts every production cycle means that this is not something that realistically Thanks is going to be able to contest at all. Not easily. So this is utter creep dominance. He's going to get the health camp very quickly. We're going to see him go and take the energy camp. Maybe rotate north side to kill off the Luminite and the Therium. Maybe just go across the map and, okay, he's just going to go across the map to go and contest his opponent's camps and steal that money from him before Thanks can properly do what he would like to do. So Thanks, he's on 3 racks. He's got a couple Lancers out. Biolab done, so he can move into Exos pretty quickly. But again, not this quick draw hustle thing we were talking about. Fighting over camps, I don't care. But as a win condition, skirmishes are one thing, but you're going all in on that last token. Yeah, that's kind of where I am on this. Although, if you do it kind of in a pick ban format where player 1 gets to ban 1, and then player 2 gets like first pick of whatever it is. So one player has to go in and kill off 5 health camps, and the other player has to kill off 5 speed camps or something to get a permanent health buff versus speed buff, and that is asymmetric in what they get. That is potentially interesting here. Is now we're going to see the effigy get dropped down, but it's just a big army. Now there's double flak turrets, so this is not really going to kill, certainly not, but it is good pressure. And behind this, the Hellforge is complete. Then we got Infernal Fury on the way, so you give it 2 minutes. And these brutes are going to be very difficult to deal with. Behind this, third base, halfway done. No third base on the way for Thanks just yet. And he's losing every camp. This is, I keep harping on this, but this is one of the reasons, if not the reason, why Infernals are seen as so strong right now. And that is they can just go and take every camp on the map, and before Vanguards, and really before Vanguards or Celestials can properly contest. But yeah, Turlog, going back to what you were saying for a second, I'm a much bigger fan of flat objectives, I think, rather than scaling objectives. And what I mean by that is, sure, a health camp gets a little bit more healing, gives a little bit more money. Sure, every time that it spawns. That's fine. But each health camp, like giving you a progressively stronger permanent buff. I'm less of a fan of that because that feels very snowball-y versus, well, if I go and take a Dota example, Dota for example, first team that gets Roshan gets an Aegis. Second time you get an Aegis and a banner, which means that your creeps don't die until the banner goes down in a small area. Third time you get a cheese, Aegis banner and cheese, and these things are interesting. Or maybe it's Aegis cheese then Aegis banner cheese. Anyways, these are very interesting. Because even if one team is gone and killed off Roshan 3 times, the 4th time it gets taken, if the other team gets it, they're going to get all the same objectives. It's a neutrally scaling objective, but it does not scale for one team versus the other. It's not like dragon stacking in League of Legends or something like that. And what that means is that it enables comebacks in a way that dragon stacking doesn't necessarily. You know, you can go and deny your opponent the stack, but if they're at 3 and they need to get 4 and you don't have any, your ability to go and make that swing is much, much more delayed. And I tend to be much more kind of in favor of the former setup. So we're still on 2 bases for Thanks at 6 minutes in. He did a good job defending. Absolutely great. That's awesome. He's still only on 2 bases here. He is getting himself some Hornets in case things happen. He's got a drop in the main base with a couple Exos and a Vulcan. That's fun. It's just going to have to return to hangar, though. Shadow Flyers are actually on the map. They're going to force that thing back. So there is that. But I really thought we were going to see Thanks either try to push with a great big army off of 2 bases or go take a 3rd base. And we are not in either situation. Where is our machine lab? There we go. Sky Sprint retrofit, 25% faster evac. So he's going to be trying to play a pretty cool drop heavy style, actually. And I like that, but I just don't. It's 2 bases, guys. I don't think that you can get away with playing 2 bases versus a 4-base Infernal and win the game. I just don't think that's viable. I don't think that's a possibility. So Spriggans are starting to get added into the field a little bit more. And now there's a 3rd base going down, and it's going to be fully scouted out here by the Shadow Flyer. So this is just, it's awkward. It's the long and short of it. Where is our evac, by the way? Was that Hornet in the main? There it is. Okay. So evac is here. Of course, Sky Sprint retrofit is done. But I just don't think Thanks has gotten enough damage done. I don't think that he's building an army that is strong enough to deal with this nonsense that Ruskov is currently making. And briefly, the supplies were equal. Now it's a 30 supply lead. Yes, there's a 3rd base done, but it's 7 minutes in with this 3rd base being complete, and that's just not fast enough. It's a 5th base on the way for Ruskov. You need more. That's just how this works. You do need more economy. More stuff is always going to beat less stuff. Now, there are 2 Atlases in this evac, and that is a very powerful thing, but it's just a massive surround coming in, and there is just not enough stuff here whatsoever. So double Atlas on the high ground. Spriggans are going to try to get on top of these Atlases and prevent them from doing whatever it is that they would like to do. Evac doing a nice job of keeping them safe for now, but there's just not enough here. There is never going to be enough here when it is a 5-base Vanguard or Infernal versus a 2.5 base Infernal Vanguard. It's just not enough. It's not strong enough. This 3rd base is dead. Ruskov built an army. Ruskov scaled his economy in a way that Thanks was just not able, not even gonna say not able, just chose not to do. Realistically, there wasn't a lot of pressure after that first hit. He could have gone and taken a 3rd base, but he chose not to, and unfortunately, this is now biting him significantly. The 3rd base is dead. The natural is soon to fall, and there is really nothing that Thanks can do anymore. Ruskov is going to take the series 2-0 as expected. But now, I think it's going to be Mixu versus Ruskov up next, and that's a lot of fun. Oh, I agree, Kenny SB. 100%. I think every patch, I think, although it is good news if you are a Stormgate fan, that literally every patch they come out with, we say, wow, I really wish that this had been what early access release was. Every single patch, I'm like, wow, if they'd come out with early access, this would have been great. So that says a lot about their level of production. Mixu, I'm 95% sure Mixu is playing Vanguard. So we're going to go to a bit of a break because I don't have a lot of minutes left in the, a lot of time left in the ads, and I'm hoping this is going to be a 3-game series. So we're going to go to a break. When we are back, oh, Theory versus Ariel is pretty fun too. When we're back, it's going to be Mixu versus Ruskov, most likely. And I'll see y'all in 3 minutes or so. See you soon. At least, as brutes are too strong. Brute Charge is way too good. Infernal Fury is incredibly strong. But that's not what Ruskov is going for. His Nightfall is going to try to land here, slow down some of these Lancers, and is going to get maybe one. Nah, it's going to be... Yeah, okay, he's got a healing camp. Forge going down somewhere, but he's gone for triple Shadow Spire, and well, Thanks is just going to get on top of him, trap him in here. And the Gods just have to run away, but the Lances are fast. They're getting a lot of damage done. Exo's killing off a lot of these brutes as well. This is a beautiful trade for Thanks. But it is very surprising to see no quick draw hustle done. Nothing on the biolab at all. But you're going to have to play at home a little bit defensively here. Actually, no repair on this flak turret. It is going to get ramparted by, well, it's going to get defended by the rampart. And these Spriggans are just not. Fourth base is not going to be allowed. Oh, no, it did complete. That's not bad. A lot of fiends on the, or a lot of phantoms on the ground, and the Hornets are going to start to arrive. Hornets deal with this very well, but we need to see a repair here. Bobs are not being pulled over in time, and this is going to be a dead base. Skymine's not dropped in time. Having sat and played with them for a couple weeks is not as bad as I was. I used to be. I'm like, wow, this is horrible. Now I'm like, it's okay. If they just kind of sleeked out the edges, it would probably be fine. They're growing on me just a little bit. But anyways, Hornets are going to be able to doing a. I don't know that there is a good answer to this number of brutes just kind of running at you. Not really. I think the answer is maybe kind of like maybe if you play mech, Vulcan Atlas or something, but yeah, it's just a little bit awkward. So the brutes are going to roughshod through everything. Be surprised. Actually, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised to see a quick Hellforge, but he could already have a Hellforge on the map. He's choosing not to. Instead, this is just for like utter creep dominance. That's what this is. Two brutes, 2 gaunts every production cycle means that this is not something that realistically 5 speed camps or something to get a permanent health buff versus speed buff, and that is asymmetric in what they get. That is potentially interesting here. Is now we're going to see the effigy get dropped down, but it's just a big army. Now there's double flak turrets, so this is not really going to kill, certainly not, but it is good pressure. Absolutely great. That's awesome. He's still only on 2 bases here. He is getting himself some Hornets in case things happen. He's got a drop in the main base with a couple Exos and a Vulcan. That's fun. It's just going to have to return to hangar, though. Shadow Flyers are actually on the map. They're going to force that thing back. So there is that. There is never going to be enough here when it is a 5 base Vanguard or Infernal versus a 2.5 base Infernal Vanguard. It's just not enough. It's not strong enough. This 3rd base is dead. Ruskov built an army, and unfortunately, this is now biting him significantly. The 3rd base is dead. The natural is soon to fall, and there is really nothing that Thanks can do anymore. Ruskov is going to take the series 2-0 as expected, but now I think it's going to be Mixu versus Ruskov up next, and that's a lot of fun, at least, as brutes are too strong. Brute Charge is way too good. Infernal Fury is incredibly strong. But that's not what Ruskov is going for. His Nightfall is going to try to land here, slow down some of these Lancers, and is going to get maybe 1. Nah, it's going to be, yeah, okay, he's got a healing. Welcome back, friends. I lied, we're not doing the Mixu Ruskov series because Ariel versus Theory is ready to go. And that's a 6 series. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about Ariel versus Theory. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about that one whatsoever. So this is going to be, not Vanguard. Celestial versus Infernal. Ariel versus Theory. It's a pretty good matchup. I don't know how much Theory's been playing recently, but historically, this has given us some very, very cool games. We're going to start the recording going. We're going to move on here. Isle of Dread, unfortunately not the Stormy version. Guys, come on. Stormy's just better. But we're going to be moving on to Isle of Dread for map number 1. And away we go. All right, there we go. Game 1 of Ariel and Theory. It's ready to go. Spotting the bottom left in the 2nd round here of the 1st week of the Ariel Stormgate circuit. In the blue, it's his tournament, and he's playing in it. It's Ariel. And the upper right in the red. He's the Infernal player. Arguably the best player from North America, at least has been for a long time from the Americas. His name is Theory. It's gonna be very interesting to see what exactly these 2 players have in store for us, because I don't know how active Theory has been recently, already doing some things that are theoretically a little suboptimal, where you do see a lot of players go and they're going to go effigy expand, where they drop the shrine, they drop an effigy, and it's good, right? You drop double effigy, that's fine. and you're going to be able to go and get the advantages of faster shroud production because the effigy is there. Now, I'm assuming Theory here doesn't want to do that because he's opened up Conclave Vault, and that means he's going to be trying to creep faster. And if you're spending your first 2 effigies on getting your shrine up, which is totally valid, never mind. He dropped an effigy. I don't know why he did that, because I was going to talk about how, oh, you know, you want to save some animus. That's going to be fairly nice. You want to make sure that you have Shroud on cooldown to go farm the first camp, or effigy on cooldown to farm the first camp, and that is something. But instead, he's going to go drop his first 2 effigies, well, first 3 effigies, excuse me, on just, he's really shrouding up the map here, which is interesting. Now, this is not how we see a lot of Inferno players play the game right now. It really is about trying to be as active, take as many camps off the map as quickly as possible. So that is dropping kind of 1 effigy in every camp, and you're going to town. But Theory says, you know what? I want a little bit more space here. I want to have a little bit area, a little bit more deeply shrouded. That means I'm going to benefit from any sort of shroud things, as these gods need to be brought in. Theory, please. And he's not going to get any phantoms from this, so his creeping is kind of suboptimal, all things considered. And he did open Conclave Vault into a shrine to make it a little bit more optimal, but didn't quite have the animus for another effigy until right now, so he didn't get the phantoms, didn't get the additional phantoms off of the health camp to go and help him take the vision camp a little bit faster. And you put all these things together, and it's just awkward. I don't know how much he's been playing, but this is not how you want to be doing this. So there should be an effigy dropped right now to make sure that your brute respawns, and you get a couple more phantoms here. This is just, it's a little awkward. But instead, he's going to go and expand off the, okay, you know, this is something. He's effigy walking on the other side of the map. He's going to go take these trees down and take his third base that way. And to my eye, again, this is fairly suboptimal. This is not how most Inferno players have been playing. This is not the optimality here. But he is going to get every creep camp on his side of the map fairly reasonably. He's going to keep spreading creep, and you do have a faster cooldown on the, not spreading creep, spreading shed. You do have a faster cooldown on this one. He's going to get his third base up reasonably fast, and it's a marginally more defensive position, but there's a reason we see almost every Inferno player go, and they're going to take this base, because there are 2 Luminite bases here, not just the 1. And that means that you just have to build less shrines to get the same amount of income, which means you save some money, so it's pretty solid overall. Now, we should take a look at what's happening on the other side of the map. We've been spending a lot of time puzzling over the effigy positioning that we've been seeing from Theory here, but Ariel is opening up their favorite. This has been their style for just as long as Stormgate has existed. This Seraphim idea, where you open up, in this case, a triple Legion Hall, build a crap ton of Seraphim, take as many camps as possible, and then run across the map, and if you're lucky and your opponent doesn't have enough gaunts, just kill them. Now, that's not necessarily a guarantee here, but it is always a likelihood. And behind this, well, there's a Greater Shrine done. We do have a Hellforge done. I don't think, Brute upgrades are not done or even started, so that's going to be awkward. And we don't have enough Animus for a Shroudstone manifestation, so pretty much every imp in this natural is going to fall victim to the Seraphim. Theory was just not paying attention to the creeping pattern. Did not surmise, I guess, from the creeping pattern that Seraphim were on the map. So he does have a Shroudstone in his main base, but he's just dead. Just straight up here. Theory is on the ground. There's nothing he can do. He's just going to be forced to tap out at this point. His creeping has been a little bit awkward. He's going to manifest the Shroudstone now from all the imps that have died, but we're not at the point where there is a ton of animus or a ton of charges on your workers, so you can go and just reinforce that fairly quickly. He's lost like every bit of income in his main base and his natural. He's 56 supply to 101. More Seraphim are getting added in. Now we got some Star Forges, which assumedly are going to be for some vectors if and when Spriggans hit the field. And we're at the point where Seraphim are just beating down Gaunts. That is not where you want to be in the slightest. Gaunts are theoretically supposed to be very good against this, but it just does not matter. Now they're just going to run away, eat a couple Shadow Flyer shots, and that's fine. But because Purify is ready, because we're We're not on tier 3 just yet, but we are on tier 2. You have Purify available. You can remove the curse. It means that these Seraphim, they live so much longer. And it's just now a difficult game for Theory. Just extremely difficult game. It's a... Well, I said Starforges for things like vectors, but he's just going, yeah, I should have known. This is what Ariel's been talking about. You just go and you get yourself a bunch of scythes. Seraphim Scythe, 5. Okay, that's actually not 5 scythes, to be clear. There are not 5 Starforges on the map, to the best of my knowledge. Yeah, there are only 3. This is a bug. It shows every unit in both production and production and queued. So you can only build 3 scythes at a time. He has got 5 queued up just because, hey, well, that's how it's gonna go. So eventually the scythes are gonna start to find their way in. This 4th base is dead to the Seraphim. And Theory's in a rough spot. Theory is in an extremely rough... Oh, I love this, by the way. So look at what he's doing on the upgrades. I don't remember the name of this one just because it is so rarely researched. But Resolute Seal for the Seraphim is going to pop out, which is a tier 2... It is a tier 2 upgrade that allows you to fly in and spend energy and shut structures down. Specifically, shut down static defense. So you can run in there, run into the main base, spend 2 Resolute Seals, shut down the static defense, and the base dies. So that is a... Shadow Flyers make some solid contact here. Resolute Seal is not done just yet. I'm not even sure that you need it, to be totally honest. And you do have to be careful if you are... well... If you are going to be Ariel at this point, Shadow Flyers are very strong, and they can shut down a lot of this nonsense. Because of the new flocking mechanics, they just do a lot of damage, and the minus armor applies to everything. So we're going to have to see Ariel return back home. They're going to have to go and just kind of sit in a healing camp for a little bit. Get these scythes right back. Well, actually, they can sit at a Cascade Field. Same thing, and get themselves right back up to full. And we should also point out that this is a 2-base Celestial. You thought about a 3rd base on the way. There we go. But it's a 2-base Celestial. So while Ariel has done a ton of damage and got a lot of value, this is still a game where Theory has more bases and theoretically has been able to build a reasonable army. Now we look at this army and we say, well, is it good enough? And it might just be. Seraphim are not the best anti-air unit. That is for daggone sure. Or anti-ground unit. That's absolutely true. And, well, yeah, they don't fight Gaunts super well. So this base is dead. That is very much the case. But Scythes aren't this incredible anti-ground structure or anti-ground unit either. They used to be insanely good. But that is no longer the case. They're just very good against air. So especially with Resolute Steel, they're just going to shred anything on any Spriggans that are brought against them. But it really is on these Seraphim on the ground. I mean, you need to see a Purify get dropped. That's doing a fairly good job here. And the question is whether enough damage has been done by Ariel over the course of this game to shut everything else down, because it's just Gaunts. If the Gaunts die, Ariel wins. If Gaunts don't die, Ariel loses. That's the long and short of it. So the Gaunts stay alive. Ariel takes a reasonably good trade, keeps Theory below 100 supply. But I would like to see Ariel start to transition a little bit, get a 4th base up. Go and something, you think that Animancers might be good. Now, I don't know if they are. But Animancers might theoretically be good because they can deal with the, as that's basically going to get canceled here, because they can just go and deal with the Gaunt spam quite a bit. If you kill the Gaunts, if you get a Dark Prophecy down, that can be fairly good. But we're going to have to see. Anyway, into the main base. Resolute Seal is, of course, a thing. So it's just shut. One of these is shut down. Second one going to get shut down. Static Defense not really doing enough here. But it is buying time. As that Nightfall is really just not going to land. It is buying time. That is very much the case. So it does allow Theory to go kind of rotate over. And he's not on Elder Shrine. He's only on Greater Shrine. This base dies once again. I don't know. It's too many. Well, is it too many Gaunts? This is math that I'm not super familiar with. It looks like the answer is there is just enough stuff in the air. The Gaunts are going to fall down. I don't know that there are any Shadow Flyers here. And finally, Ariel's going to win this game. It's so hard to tell with Gaunt math whether it's enough, because it looks like a lot of Gaunts, but Gaunts are not tanky. And they don't do a ton of damage either. So You have a lot of gaunts, but with no Shadow Flyers there, just was not going to be enough. Spriggan's now trying to join the fray, and Spriggan's against Seraphim are solid because Seraphim don't shoot up, but they're enough size here. And this is just going to work out. Theory is pretty much dead. Ariel finally took the fight that he needed to, and now we're seeing structures get taken down. I don't know what Theory's waiting for at this point. He is pretty dead. Yeah, Shadow Blizzard, that's a very good question. Why not just send the brutes across the map? They are useless to defend against this. I don't know. I mean, that would be good. That would be a solid play, but for right now, Ariel is just sitting here and looking rather strong. I don't know. Well, Ariel's still microing, so Theory didn't leave the game. I mean, it wasn't just a silent. There we go. Okay. Theory is dead. Ariel takes game number 1. Yeah, if you can force the air back home, that's kind of the old Muta versus a Roach idea, where you hit a Roach timing, so the Mutas have to stay home. What if Vanguard soldiers could be repurposed? Lancers could become X's? I don't like that. Voice Samuel, they have different production costs. Building units should be a choice. Now, you can have things with different modes, such as a Hedgehog with anti-air and anti-ground mode, but you have to make up for that in the cost. Devs will look at this and buff Infernals again. Well, Infernals were nerfed in the recent patch, and if you're paying attention to, well, I can tell you, or high-level players are giving the devs feedback that Infernals need to be nerfed again. So hope this meta sticks around as an option, but ground comp should be the primary. I agree, Hokie. I think that the best version of any, I think RTS games are best when area units are support units. When flyers are support units, when you get them to enable drops or other things, but not, you know, main units. Hello there, Vettel. A lumber pile is on the balance council. All right, so game number 2 here. Ariel and Theory. Theory's down a map. Titan's Causeway, map 2. Away we go. Thank you, Shadow Blizzard. I happen to like it. It's not my favorite shirt because my partner has made me a couple shirts that I've worn on stream, and they're very nice. But they're all in the wash right now, so this just works out. She actually got some linen fabric, and she said she was going to make me a linen shirt at some point, and then I think, well, that'll be my favorite summer shirt at the very least. This is a much shorter map getting into Titan's Causeway. We have Theory going Volt Conclave once again. Conclave Volt doesn't really matter. He's getting him at roughly the same time. But he's doing the same thing he did in game 1, which is Volt Conclave, meat farm on the natural. We're going to see him, I assume he's just going to drop an effigy right here and kind of creep Shroud north. He plays this differently from like every other top level Infernal. And I don't know if this is, I don't know how much he's been playing. Hello there, Greenzer. Yeah, we got good numbers today. We had really good numbers last week when I had Rushy co-casting with me. We were at, we peaked north of 200, which at one point, like during close to early access launch, I was getting like 300 to stream, and that was awesome. But of course, as interest has waned, but I'm not complaining. 130 in general. My YouTube videos are getting more views. There's a lot more interest, just endemic interest in Stormgate than there previously was. And we're seeing this in viewership numbers on Twitch. We're seeing this on YouTube views. We're seeing this all over the place. And it's very, we're also seeing it in, you know, people like Loco and Tasteless covering the game, Winter, Pig, covering the game more. Obviously, it's not where it needs to be just yet, but I think a lot of people gave up on Stormgate, and just because of how bad EA was. And it was a bad launch. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I think there's a lot more hope. At least there's a lot more hope that they're going to be able to make the game that they said they were that they promised, that they said they were planning on making, which I think is very exciting. For an exchange cost, would better utilize the veterancy mechanic. Yeah, I'll buy that. Maybe that's a little bit more Voice of Samuel, like a retraining facility where you bring a high veteran, like minimum high veterancy units in, and you go to there. Now we're going to see a little bit more aggressive option as Theory's going to go try to steal the health cam, but there are Seraphim here, and Seraphim, not only do they do insane damage, all right, they do like double damage against, I think it actually might be triple damage versus creeps. With only two gaunts, they're not going to be able to go, and the gaunts are just going to die. So the health camp, Ariel's going to be able to take that one off. He lost some of the creeps, but not all of them. And Theory is just going to have to run back home, tail between his legs once again. This time, though, he is a little bit more on top. Well, I said he's a little more on top. He's double root, double conclave. Or double vault, double conclave. So he will have more brute production, but it's one of those things where you don't need brutes. Yeah, Shadow Blizzard, we're going to have to see. It is unfortunate that the player numbers have diminished a little bit as, there we go. That's going to be one dead Seraphim, but the rest of the Gaunts die. And Theory is running onto the other side of the map now. I think this is good. You do have to do something to force your opponent home with these brutes. But he's just pulling back home now. We don't have, okay, we do have a Shroud Stone in the natural. We do have a Shroud Stone in the main base. But there's just so many, Theory is in a rough spot. This is dicey. At least he does have static defense this game, so it's not quite as bad. But he just doesn't have enough gaunts. This is the thing. I think if you go and I think you got to go with triple conclave, single vault, something like that. I don't think you can go build this many brutes and be happy with it, especially now. Like, where are the brutes? Do they die? I don't know if they ran across the map. I don't see the brutes anywhere. So there's not enough gaunts at this point. Certainly we don't have Resolute Seal here done, but they're just enough. There are enough Seraphim that the gaunts are just not enough numbers. It's one of those things where it's like your opponent goes muta. There's some muta all-ins in ZVZ where you just, once you kill off all the queens, you just can never build them enough, and the snowball continues, and you just sit on top of production. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening right now. There's just not enough here. Yes, there is a Twilight Spire done. Theory's got 13 Therium. He can't build any Shadow Flyers. He's just dead. Ariel stomps him in game 2. Yeah, Shadow Blizzard. I have huge hopes after the last 2 patches, 0.5 and 0.6. It is a shame that we have the balance where we are, so the player count isn't sticking around as much. But again, I see a lot of people, they're like, yeah, you know, it's really promising what we got in this most recent patch, but I don't want to play an RTS before it's done. It doesn't have units. It's missing a lot. So I'm very promising. I tried it out. I liked it, but I'm going to go play something else while I wait for it to complete. So I run in this build a lot ever since Ariel posted his build tutorial in it. The issue is I go triple conclave blind, and then I get Argent all in. Yeah. Yeah, but this is also, Delirious said, this is also just Theory not playing enough of the current patch, which is fair. But it's very clearly that there are some things that he has not played. This is Theory Ariel. Like, there are some things where he is like theory crafted. But not played a ton of. So now we're going to go to break once again. Sorry, folks. But with luck. All right. So, man, Mixu and Fiction took a map off Mixu. My goodness. So So it's going to be Ariel versus Theory in the first semifinals. We're going to get started with that one. That's going to be Ariel versus Snockstar. Sorry, not Theory. Snockstar. BO5. All right, so we're going to run some ads when we're back. We're going to run some ads when we're back. It's going to be the semifinals. First one, Aureil and Snockstar. Right after the break. We cool down to farm the first camp, and that is something. But instead, he's going to go drop his first two effigies. Well, first three effigies, excuse me, on just, he's really shrouding up the map here, which is interesting. Now, this is not how we see a lot of Inferno players play the game right now. It have a little bit area, a little bit more deeply shrouded. That means I'm going to benefit from any sort of shroud things, as these gaunts need to be brought in. Theory, please. And he's not going to get any phantoms from this, so his creeping is kind of suboptimal, all things considered, and he respawns, and you get a couple more phantoms here. This is just, it's a little awkward. But instead, he's going to go and expand off the, okay, you know, this is something. He's effigy walking on the other side of the map. He's going to go take these trees down and take his third base that way. And it's a marginally more defensive position, but there's a reason we see almost every Inferno player go, and they're going to take this base, because there are two Luminite bases here, not just the one. And that means that you just have to build less shrines to get the same amount of income, which means you save some money. So it's from the map. So he does have a Shroud Stone in his main base, but he's just dead. Just straight up here. Theory is on the ground. There is nothing he can do. He's just going to be forced to tap out at this point. His creeping has been a little bit awkward. He's going to manifest the Shroud Stone now from all the imps. So that is a Shadow Flyers make some solid contact here. Resolute Seal is not done just yet. I'm not even sure that you need it, to be totally honest. And you do have to be careful if you are, well, if you are going to be Ariel at this point. Shadow Fly drop. That's doing a fairly good job here. And the question is whether enough damage has been done by Ariel over the course of this game to shut everything else down, because it's just Gaunts. If the Gaunts die, Ariel wins. If Gaunts don't die, Ariel loses. That's the long and short of it. And they don't do a ton of damage either. So you have a lot of Gaunts, but with no Shadow Flyers there, just was not going to be enough. Spriggans now trying to join the fray, and Spriggans against Seraphim are solid because Seraphim don't shoot up, but they're enough size here. And this is just going to work out. Theory is pretty much, it would be a solid play, but for right now, Ariel is just sitting here and looking rather strong. I don't know, well, Ariel's still microing, so Theory didn't leave the game. I mean, it wasn't just a silent, there we go, okay. Theory is dead. Ariel takes game number one. Snowball continues, and you just sit on top of production. That's exactly what we're seeing happening right now. There's just not enough here. Yes, there is a Twilight Spire done. Theory's got 13 Therium. He can't build any Shadow Flyers. He's just dead. Ariel stomps him in game two. We cool down to farm the first camp. Welcome back, friends. We have a semifinals on the way. In fact, we gotta go. Let me pull the lobby code. It's gonna be Snockstar versus Ariel. Is Inferno P too strong? Is Inferno P too strong? By the way, if you want to watch Mixu trying to not get Inferno P'd by Ruskov, he is on Game Friends stream. But we're going to be starting on Titan's Causeway here for our first series, or for our first game in this upper bracket semifinals. Not, well, yeah, it's top side of the bracket. Top side of the bracket semifinals. It is going to be Ariel. It is going to be Snockstar. This is a Celestial versus Infernal. Best of 5. I am wondering whether there is anything that Ariel can do other than the Seraphim nonsense. And this is not saying he is wrong for doing so. I'm just wondering if there's any build variability in the matchup right now. I don't know. But we're going to get into it. It's going to be Snockstar. It's going to be Ariel. Game one's ready to go. Spawn in the upper right in, wait a minute. Spawn in the upper right in this semifinals, best of 5. He is the red Celestial. It's Ariel. And the bottom left in the blue for Infernals, it's Snockstar. Snockstar wins more of these than he loses, just in general. Just across the board. He just wins a lot of tournaments. He's very, very good. When Infernal's bad, when Infernal's good, it's all the same to him. So that's where we're looking at. Questions whether he can deal with the Ariel, whether he can deal with the Ariel nonsense that he's been going, where you just go 1 base Seraphim, maybe 2 base Seraphim if you can get away with it on like Isle of Dread. But on a map like this, on Titan's Causeway, on a short map, you go 1 base Seraphim, you get 1 or 2 Legion Halls. If you have 2 bases, you can go up to 3, and you just try to kill as many Gaunts as possible, quickly as possible, and maintain pressure up until the point where your opponent keels over dead. If that does not happen, eventually the Infernal army composition will outscale. That is kind of what we've been seeing, where Shadow Flyers against the Clumped Flyers, pretty good. And, well, Gaunts beat Seraphim in enough numbers, theoretically. Vectors are, not vectors, but Scythes are pretty good against a bunch of but against a bunch of Flyers, but they also don't really do all that well versus Gaunt. So like once you get to this Shadow Flyer Gaunt composition, it does seem like that is a better army that the Infernal has access to, so long as the Shadow Flyer connections are good. If they don't get the Shadow Flyer connections, then the Gaunts don't do enough damage. It's a little bit awkward, as unfortunately here, Snockstar looks like, yeah, okay, no, he's gonna get 4 of the 5 Phantoms, so not the end of the world, but loses his effigy a little bit. That's not great. But now he's gonna run onto the other side of the map and get on top. He's not gonna go try to break the high ground here. That'd be crazy. But instead, he's gonna go and at least get some damage on the Purifier. That's probably not gonna do all that much, but also he's gonna go try to steal the health camp. We saw Theory try to do this. Wasn't super successful, but this one already just seems like it's just doing a little bit better. Curse was applied to most of the health camps, and yeah, he's gonna get 4 of them at the very least. It looks like Ariel gets the 5th, and that should be that. So maybe actually not as successful, because I think Snockstar lost everything from this camp in a way that I don't think Theory did quite as much. But also the natural expansion pattern is a little bit more efficient here. And we're going to see a lot more Gaunts in the field, just ASAP, getting that 3rd base up much more efficiently as well, or much faster as well. So the 3rd base is up. Greater Shrine is done. We're on double Conclave already. Snockstar putting a lot of priority and making sure he gets Conclaves up ASAP, gets this Gaunt count up ASAP, because he understands where the win condition is. If he loses all of his Gaunts, that is where Ariel's going to be able to win the game. As it stands, all of the Seraphim are going to get cursed up a little bit. They get 1 Gaunt to their name, but not really going to be able to steal the speed camp all that much. And now maybe get a little bit more, but there's no Shroud here, so there's no healing. Oh, no. Yeah, this is a problem. This is a significant problem right now. All the Gaunts are going to fall down. Snockstar's got to run back home, tail between his legs. And now he might just be dead, actually. I've been talking about how he's been doing this better, but he has lost so many Gaunts already on the map. And yeah, sure, some of these Seraphim are cursed. They're tier 2. They can drop a Purify if they truly need to do so. And there are no Shroud Stones anywhere. Gaunt's going to get made. Gaunts die. Mutas camp on top of the Hydra production. They camp on top of the Queen production, as it were. And this is how this snowball. It's such a good map for it on Titan's Causeway because of how quick the rush distance is and how fast Seraphim are as well. It's just what exactly you're supposed to do. There's a 10 range Hellford or Hellborn, but it doesn't do really much of anything. They're not heavy units. You know, they don't have splash anymore. So Seraphim don't really die to Hellborn all that much. And now Snockstar is gonna lose a meat farm. Not that that does all that much for him. A lot of the Therium is camped here, so Snockstar doesn't have any Therium to mine, and now he's gonna lose all of his bases. There is really not a lot for him to do. This is a very quick and dirty game number 1. He's trying to stay in, but he is deader than a dodo. Extremely dead. So we've been talking about Inferno P this entire time, and I think against Vanguard, that is very true. But this style of play coming out of Ariel, he's been making this work in pretty much every patch, and in this patch, he's making it work extremely well. This style of play, we just get a lot of Seraphim, and you kill your opponent, works very nicely. And Ariel takes game 1. I think it is very fun, by the way, to see Aureil in the Discord complaining about how Inferno P is Inferno P. Upside is saying it's so sad Celestial is exactly a single play style, and Inferno players don't hard counter it. Well, if you hard counter it, I know people are still, well, I don't know how good the Argent I don't know how good Argent all-ins are anymore. I think they should be pretty bad. Emperor Palpatine, did I say Dota? Is Dota dead? I don't think I said Dota. If I did, I didn't mean to. I was talking about Roshan as an objective versus Dragons earlier on. Well, Green Zerg saying we need to... No, Green Zerg, I would be totally down for a Gaunt buff in exchange for a heavy Brute nerf. But I think at the end of the day, the issue with Infernals is not even the stats of their units. It's just they can clear camps in a way that other factions can't. And that just gives them this massive lead in the early game that allows them to just snowball in a way that's very difficult to deal with. So I'd be down to say remove stun from the Brute and remove bounties from level 1 creep camps, and that would probably do it. Yeah, Argent all-ins are extinct. The Prime mechanic enabled them. That's kind of what I was thinking. Someone in chat was like, I open Triple Conclave, and then I get I open Triple Conclave, and then I just get Argent all-in. And I'm like, I don't know how good that is anymore, but I haven't run into it. I'm pretty much playing only Infernal versus Infernal on the ladder, so I cannot tell you from firsthand experience. But yeah. Delay Gaunt Curse to upgrade or remove it. I don't even know that you need to delay it to upgrade WWD. It might just be enough to just say, well, you get Curse at tier 2. Not even an upgrade, just when you have Greater Shrine, you go, Curse gets unlocked. Kind of like Widowmine Cloak or something. I wonder if they just need to make creeps curse immune. I don't know that I would go that far. I think if you remove the financial incentive from the creep camps, which is kind of where I'm sitting right now. If you remove the financial incentive from the creep camps, what's the word? You remove a lot of the power, you remove a lot of that early game snowballing that is making the Infernal secondary timing so strong. You got Argent rushed recently and lost. Shadow Blizzard, for the sake of context here, what's your MMR at? And what was the MMR of your opponent? Broken Crown is Argent all inable because flying distance is low. Yes, but Keem, here's the thing. Prime is done. Prime is gone. So that's not really how that works anymore. You'd have to proxy all of the construct or the creation chambers, and that is far less viable. 2000 MMR, your opponent was 1800. Okay. What do they do? Was it like a 1 base 3 clay or a 3 chamber all in? Like what was the Argent rush? Just yeah, Mixu died to Ruskov. I'm not surprised. Yeah. Infern, it seems like right now that we are in this, I don't know where Celestial versus Vanguard lie because I've not seen a single game of it on the new patch, but it does seem like we are on that kind of that circle of suck once again, where if you're playing Ariel's build, Celestial better than Infernal, better than Vanguard, better than Celestial maybe. I don't know about that. I don't know about that last one, but it seems like we've inverted the circle. It used to be Infernal better than Infernal better than Celestial, better than Vanguard, better than Infernal. Well, we've kind of turned it around. Anyways, Snockstar, game number 2 is down a map, Isle of Dread. This is going to be a 2-base Seraphim build this time, most likely. You can put the creation chambers on the low ground, below natural unbroken ground. It's pretty low rush distance. That's fair, and you just have to rally them around. But you do, it does slow down the rush a little bit because you're not building creation chambers as you have the money for them. You're building them all on the other side of the map. And that is going to remove like 1 or 2 Argents from the, that's going to slow the timing down by like 1 or 2 Argents. You don't think Ariel's build once Infernals learn how to scout and really hard counter it, says WWD. So the question is, what does a hard counter look like? Is it just a greater shrine rush, like Conclave greater shrine rush for Gaunt Shadowflyer as quickly as possible? Because that's a lot of Therium. That is I'm not saying it's impossible, but that is a very expensive setup to get to, especially on a map like Titan's Causeway. That takes a lot of Therium to get to and to kind of consistently produce from to make sure that you have the counter. So I don't know. Vanguard versus Vanguard has degenerated a Mass Hornet Nanoswarm. It used to be good before Zero Air Collision. Yeah, they're working. So of course, air flocking is not as bad as StarCraft 2 air flocking is. But I do think that, well, I think really what it is it's not necessarily that the flocking is there. It's that there's not a good ground punish for Hornets in Vanguard versus Vanguard. You know, Hedgehogs, they're bonus versus heavy. They can shoo away a little bit, but they don't really punish all that much. They don't really punish they don't really punish Hornets all that well. So you don't have that. Exos don't really punish them all that well. So if you want to beat Hornets, you got to get Hornets. And that's a small unit roster problem, more so than the fact that there is flocking, in my opinion. So I would love to see Hornets or Hedgehogs maybe be a better answer versus Light Flyers. I don't know. Maybe that's too strong, but or maybe that's too good in other matchups. But maybe give them a bonus versus Mechanical. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, come on. Please don't do it to me. Please, DLSS, stay stable. Okay, we got to turn it off. Quickly. Boop, boop. Loose frames, but DLSS doesn't like flyers. It is like on certain maps, it just starts glitching like this. It has pretty much stopped for me outside of when I have dragons. I play entire games the moment my Flayed Dragon comes out, it starts doing that glitch and I gotta turn it off, which is annoying. But for now, well, we're gonna see a bunch of Seraphim show up in the main base, kill off some of the Therium generating units, but they're at a decent amount of Gaunts. You're playing on multiple sides, and this is gonna be a dead Seraphim. No, it's gonna be fine, but dead Seraphim, that's gonna be pretty solid. We have Reaper Rush on the way, so Gaunts are gonna be a lot faster. They're gonna be able to chase things down. Notably as well, we do have Snockstar playing pretty defensively here. There's no third base on the way. He's only on 2 shrines. He's actually not even super saturated on this second shrine, but he's on 3 Conclave. He's got Reaper Rush halfway done, and he is just he is Gaunt maxing. That is what he's going for, just as many Gaunts as possible, as quickly as possible, as a way to deal with this Mass Seraphim nonsense. And I think that's probably what you gotta do. You Mass Gaunt on tier 2, get yourself up to a third base, or on 2 bases, delay that third base a little bit, eventually get some Shadow Flyers up, but in the meantime, just get a ton of Gaunts. I think either a bigger Gaunt all in or just hold Gaunts into a tower so Shadow Flyers up to support them. Yeah, I think that's fair to pretty much play this as if it is... Oh, that was an upgrade. That was taken and canceled. But yeah, effectively play this as if you're playing against mutas or something. I think that is probably the proper responses. Now the effigies are going to get taken down, and Well, Gaunts, when you mass enough of them up, they do pretty good job. They do pretty reasonable damage against all of these, against all of the Seraphim. So natural is close to being saturated. As man, these cliffs make it so hard to properly deal with. Meat farm is going to go down as well. So Snockstar finds himself supply blocked. That's a little obnoxious. But because you have Reaper Rush here, it's a lot easier to stay on top of the Seraphim, and they will start to fall down here. This is a beautiful move for Snockstar right now, just really taking down a lot of these Seraphim. And he tried to move around the corner to see once the Seraphim dove onto the third base. Didn't really work out. That wasn't what happened. Ariel called the bluff, but even still, that's a lot of dead Seraphim in this supply leads that we've been seeing at this stage in the game, where just all of a sudden Ariel is snowballing massively. It's not really a thing anymore. And now, well, the Gaunts, they're going to run on their cloven hooves across the map and see what they're going to be able to get done. This third base, well, there was a Purify drop there. There's not even a third base here. Seraphim are going to start to fall down. The glaives continue to bounce. There's a... I don't even know okay, Purify was cast. There we go. So we're on red production as well, which means that Seraphim are not just coming out in enough numbers. It is 5 Seraphim at a time, by the way. We're looking at 5 Legion hulls. That's a lot of Seraphim. Now we're going to see certainly the effigy get taken down as quick as possible, but it looks like the Gaunt numbers might just be a little bit too much. Looks like Snockstar has held on way enough. He has been really, paradoxically, he's played less greedy, and playing less greedy has given him what he needs to do. And now Ariel, for the first time in this tournament, his build is broken. Snockstar ties it up, and we go to game 3. Froze a tier 3 Gaunt upgrade, like a range buff? Maybe. Honestly, I don't know that they need it. But I was kind of looking at them like, man, I wish Gaunts had one more range, but that's an Infernal player playing. Yeah, he just rushed tier 2 in Gaunt speed. It's not like, it's still not like he was ahead. He won the game, Flyleaf. But yeah, so it's interesting. I'm thinking like, okay, how do you deal with the Shadow Flyers? And the answer seems to be Reaper Rush, not necessarily quicker Shadow Flyers or something. If you can't make something happen with the Gaunts until the Archangels come out, you're kind of screwed. Well, remember, Archangels got massively nerfed. Flyleaf. They took like, what was it, 150 HP haircut on their regular form and then more off the Avatar form. Like, they are not nearly as tanky as they used to be. So now we're tied up at 1 game apiece. Snockstar versus Aureil. It's a best of 5. We are on Broken Crown. Let's see what he's got in store for us. We'll see. Game 3 here between Snockstar and Aureil on the semi-finals. And we're on a map. There's a lot of chatter in Twitch chat about how this is a viable map to go for an Argent Rush. You just go and put 3 creation chambers on the low ground and you run them around and cause some problems. But well, okay. Interesting here. Actually, what am I saying? You need 1 chamber to get other tech up. So never mind. I'm just a silly bean, but no, it is actually going to be. Okay, creation chambers into a Guardian Nexus. He's going to go for kind of an Argent Kree thing. I'm so happy that my cough button also works as a sneeze button. It's great. The 3 chamber going on the way. Kree roll up getting started very soon. And if you think your opponent is going to go hard counter you, which is what has been happening. I mean, this was very quick second conclave, very quick third conclave coming out of Snockstar, rolling on him with a bunch of Kree off of 1 base. is a pretty solid way to make this happen. And while theoretically removing the prime, well, not theoretically, while removing the prime chamber may have nerfed Celestials in the short term and maybe even the middle term, I'm so happy they did. It was just, it really did enable some really obnoxious stuff. But I am curious to see how this is going to work out for Ariel. I truly do not know. I have not seen this build. Again, all my ladder games have been Infernal versus Infernal or Infernal versus Vanguard to a lesser extent. I really have not. I played, I don't know, 15 games on the new patch at this point, and I don't think I played a single Celestial. So there is that, as Aureil now has the Kree on the field, trying to intercept this early army coming out of Snockstar. And Snockstar, well, he took the camp now. He took the speed camp. Now he's running back home. And remember, there is no prime chamber, so the Kree have to roly-poly-oly their way onto the other side of the map. What are they going to see? They're going to find a brute. That's something. There are a lot of gaunts here. They're going to get exploded at the very beginning. Now trying to go back and roll up once again, get another explosion going here. Now they're just going to run into the imp line. But remember, once they start to explode, if you can trap them in, Blazing Fury can be really good. But he's going to, oh, yeah, there we go. Those were actually some really good Blazing Fury timings. But now the Kree are dead, and I just don't think this works. I don't think the damage is there. You're rolling in Kree 3 at a time. If you're not going to proxy the chambers, the rush distances is way too long. It's like, great, you killed off all the gaunts. There are plenty of brutes here. You didn't kill any workers. This is the ground army build Ariel has been cooking yesterday on stream, says Professor Wannabe. I don't know, guys. Ariel may have been cooking with it, but I think this one might be a little burnt. Might have been over fermented here. It does kill off the gaunts. That is absolutely true, but it just doesn't touch the brutes. And if I'm Snockstar, I'm just, well, first of all, I'm expanding, but second of all, I'm just building more brutes, and I'm getting a Hellforged, and I'm getting Infernal Fury. It's going to be fine. These trades are just not good enough for Ariel, is just the long and short of it. He's doing his best, but he's trading army for army when he's massively behind in economy. Sock Sock Puppet saying this game is starting to feel like a real game. Not this game. Now, Stormgate, say playing like a real game. Sure, fine. This game right here, nah, not really. This is a very dead Celestial. This is a slow bleed out of a Celestial player. T// saying, I can't imagine a non-cheesy way for them to implement prime structure. I can think of a very easy way where it's a tier 2 top bar ability that for the next minute you designate a chamber or a Starforge or whatever it is as the prime structure, and for the next minute you get 2 charges, and for the next minute it produces that as prime. It's a tier 2, it's a tier 3 top bar ability. So it gives you that kind of map mobility in the late game that is super cool while not being incredibly cheesy. Yeah, Gons get curse off before dying, so I don't even think Kree are good versus them. Maybe. Would Kree have 175 HP? I mean, it is 20 damage. 20 damage is 20 damage, but that's also one brute swing. So, it is additional. It's better than it's better than taking no damage, absolutely. But yeah, just get him a Hellforge like Snockstar is doing. Get Infernal Fury. Just the Kree won't be able to run away at that point, and you just kind of kill them. Sock Bucket saying, Stormgate doesn't feel like an imbalanced mess, just not at least as much as before. Well, 041 was extremely imbalanced. Massively imbalanced. Now it's just mostly imbalanced. Infernals are still very strong, and they still do need a nerf. Part of it is with just their ability to creep in the early game in a way that the other two factions don't have, and part of them is just really the damage that Brutes are able to pull out. Like, I'm so happy that Brutes are I love this. Okay, there we go. Evolution Protocol is just going to go, or Evolution Catalyst is going to go just steal the Luminite camp from under the nose of Snockstar as he tries to take it. Doesn't mean that Ariel's not dead, by the way. He's only on one base. He's very dead. He's giga dead, but it's something. Ariel just trying to show us some variety. He knows he can take this. Not this game. Not this game, Sonic. And we did see last game how you do hard counter the Seraphim build. Now, in fairness, that was Isle of Dread. That was the largest map in the pool. And if there's one map that a map like Seraphim Rush is not going to be quite as good at, it's this big map in the pool where it's really hard to set that tempo. It's really hard to just go kill off all the gaunts and make sure that they don't have enough anti-air. On a map like Titan's Causeway, it's very good. By the way, the shroud spreading, this is not really something that we've seen nearly as much from other players. But Snockstar has shroud on pretty much his entire side of the map, as now we're going to see Sovereign Watch get dropped, but that is a dead main base off of the Harbinger drop. So Brutes are going to show up. They're going to turn all into Fiends. They're just going to run the hell on out of there. It is a one base. Oh, sorry, it's a zero base. It's a zero base Celestial. Ariel was dead. He is still dead. Will always be dead. Semper Mortus. Always death. That is what Ariel is dealing with in this game. They have been dead for a long time, and it will continue. They're just going to run into this army, try to do what they can. Nightfall's not really going to land, but there are so many gaunts that it just does not matter. Kree are good gaunts against gaunts in small numbers. This numbers, though, it's not going to work out. Ariel tapped out. Snockstar up 2-1. Rather Prime be permanent effect, because I think some of the cool parts of the freedom it gives you with how you can SimCity with buildings. Like I can block around a turret in natural with no worries of units ever spawning and getting stuck there. It's not a permanent effect, then I can't do that. That's fair. I did see someone idea where saying Prime should allow you to prime one structure that is physically, that is either in the same field. What's it called? I want to say conclave field. That's not what it is. The same energy field. Or like if they're physically touching, then you can set one on the outside to be your prime. That's kind of cool. Sorry to answer your question, GXP. I am mostly recovered. Still a little snuffly, but I am not dead. And that is what truly is important here. Snockstar is up 2-1 versus Ariel as we move into Furious Resolve map number 3. We'll see what Ariel has in store for us. Because for now, game 4 is ready. Spawning. Well, why are we doing the spawning thing? It's game 4. We saw the creep build did not work out in the slightest. I would not be surprised to see a 2-base Seraphim build get started here for Ariel in this 4th game. Although, as I say that, well, he's building Argents. We were talking in the break about ways to make Prime balanced while still kind of having the fantasy of the idea. And WD is saying, I think we were talking about this concept where you would have, I'm blanking on the name of the field. There we go, Cascade Field. If you're all, as long as you're connected to the Cascade Field, you can prime it. That'd be kind of cool. Also, if structures had to be like physically touching, maybe that'd be interesting. I like the top bar idea, but people are talking about how it's nice because you can just put a bunch of structures right next to each other and just set prime on the outside and not really have an issue of units spawning inside the SimCity. So this is awkward. He's going to go, he's creeping here with a bunch of Argents, but 2-chamber Argent. I have no idea what he's going for. It's 2-chamber Argent, but there's no tech. There's no natural. 2 chambers are not enough. I mean, I'm assuming here that Ariel wants to go get his natural up soon enough, but I have no idea what he's going for here, as he's not even, okay, this is actually kind of cool. He's not actually going and he's not claiming the speed tower. That is actually really cool, and that's very cool because now there's no scouting on the map. This is not something where Snockstar is going to be able to look and see, okay, I know where Ariel is. I know where he spawned. I know what his creeping pattern is. That is a conscious decision by Ariel to minimize the amount of information that Snockstar has in this game. And by the way, Ariel, I believe, nope, okay, he did not drop a scan, so he doesn't know. He doesn't really know where Snockstar is. By the way, Frustrate, if you're watching, if you could, I would love if the fog of war swapping would be instant, not like on a 5-second slow fade. That'd be awesome. But anyways, yeah, so Snockstar has no idea. Now he knows that, okay, health camp's taken there, but that's a little bit slower of a scout. He only just knows now where his opponent is. So I don't know if that was going to make much of a difference. I don't know if that changed the gameplay at all for him, but it's kind of an interesting idea. As for now, oh, wait a minute here. That's what that does. By taking this creeping pattern and the timing, this might telegraph to Snockstar that this is, this is actually so smart. This is telegraphing this is a Seraphim build. Based on the creep timings, this is a Seraphim build. That's what's happening here. So Snockstar is going Reaper Rush. He's going mass gaunt. He is building the thing that Ariel is attempting to counter out of him, and he's also keeping his opponent at home because it's clearly Seraphim. It's clearly something that Snockstar doesn't want to get caught out on the map with. If this works out, this is brilliant. This is so cool. Now, it may not work out because I just don't have a lot of faith in this army from Ariel, but Snockstar, if we're looking at him, I mean, I wish we'd have player cams here. I think he's going to be very surprised at what's happening now. It's still a decent concave of Gaunts here at the very front, and Argents don't fight Gaunts very well, so there's that. It's a smart idea. It's very cool. It's just not going to work. If only Argents were better, or Gaunts were worse, or there was any better story here. It was a very cool idea from Ariel to try to pull the wool over his eyes. Unfortunately, this number of Gaunts just beats this number of Argents. Historically, when you look at these Gaunt timings, getting up to Plague Axes was the way in which the Argent all-in, the 3 Conclave Prime Structure all-in, would fail. And Ariel's going to tap out of this game. This means Snockstar is into the finals. Once again, this is what he does. Of course, if you like this, you want more Stormgate action, make sure to go hit the follow button. Follow me on YouTube, or sub to me on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. There we go. And I'll see you next time. You can see it if you put the physical mouse over the area, I think. I don't know, WWD. And I'm not sure if that's the case. And even if it is, Snockstar may not be doing so. But yeah, Argent's overkill so badly versus Gaunts. I think you look in there and you're like, oh, that's a lot of Gaunts. Maybe I should back up. Maybe I shouldn't go make that attack happen. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't wait for a few more Kree or just choose to tech up. I mean, yeah. Thought he might go tier 2 and top of the siege camp. A bunch of Argents can still kill that siege camp. As it stands, though, this was a Snockstar versus Ariel, done and dusted. Snockstar took the 3-1. Figured out how to solve the problem of, let's say Maria, but the problem of Seraphim in this case. So now he's in the finals. Warmilk RTS, everyone thinks, because my eyes just naturally are a little bit more half-lidded, just for whatever reason. Like, this is me opening my eyes as much as I can. I'm like, I am forcing my eyes open. Everyone's like, wow, Beo's so high. Nope. I have never been. Not something I partake in, but I just get all the comments are always there. They're like, oh, he's so, I'm like, no, guys, my eyes are just naturally where they are. And if they're a little bloodshot, I've been sick. I've been blowing my nose a lot. I'm finally feeling better today. I feel like a human. Not perfect. Ander, please keep it in English. I can't moderate Cyrillic. I cannot read that. So please keep your comments in English. Otherwise, I'll be forced to time you out. Don't want to do it. Don't want to have to do that. But we're going to move to a break. When we're back, it's going to be the second semifinals, probably, something like that. When we are back, give me 3 minutes. Army that the Infernal has access to, so long as the Shadowflyer connections are good. If they don't get the Shadowflyer connections, then the Gaunts don't do enough damage, and it's a little bit awkward, as unfortunately here, Snockstar, it looks like, yeah, okay, no, he's going to get 4 of the 5 Phantoms, so not the end of the world. That's probably not going to do all that much, but also he's going to go try to steal the health camp. We saw Theory try to do this. Wasn't super successful, but this one already just seems like it's just doing a little bit better. Curse was applied to most of the health camps, and yeah, he's going to get 4 of them at the very least. It looks like Ariel gets the 5th. Ariel's going to be able to win the game as it stands. All of the Seraphim are going to get cursed up a little bit. They get 1 Gaunt to their name, but not really going to be able to steal the speed camp all that much. And now maybe get a little bit more, but there's no Shroud here, so there's no healing. Oh, no. Yeah, this is a problem. This is a significant problem right now. All the Gaunts are going to fall down. Snockstar's got this entire time, and I think against Vanguard, that is very true, but this style of play coming out of Ariel, he's been making this work in pretty much every patch, and in this patch, he's making it work extremely well. This style of play, we just get a lot of Seraphim, and you kill your opponent, works very nicely. And Ariel takes game 1 off, which is annoying, but for now, well, we're going to see a bunch of Seraphim show up in the main base, kill off some of the therium generating units, but they're at a decent amount of Gaunts. You're playing on multiple sides, and this is gonna be a dead Seraphim. No, it's gonna be fine, but dead all of these against all of the Seraphim. So natural is close to being saturated. As man, these cliffs make it so hard to properly deal with. Meat farm is going to go down as well, so Snockstar finds himself supply blocked. This is a beautiful move for Snockstar right now, just really taking down a lot of these Seraphim. And he tried to move around the corner to see once the Seraphim dove onto the third base. Didn't really work out. That wasn't what happened. Ariel called the bluff, but even still, that's a lot of dead Seraphim in this. It looks like the Gaunt numbers might just be a little bit too much. Looks like Snockstar has held on way enough. He has been really, paradoxically, he's played less greedy, and playing less greedy has given him what he needs to do. And now Ariel, for the first time in this tournament, his build is broken. Snockstar ties it up, and we go to game 3. Another explosion going here. Now they're just going to run into the imp line, but remember, once they start to explode, if you can trap them in, Blazing Fury can be really good, but he's going to, oh yeah, there we go. Those were actually some really good Blazing Fury timings, but now the Kree are dead, and I just don't think this works. Part of it is with just their ability to creep in the early game in a way that the other 2 factions don't have, and part of them is just really the damage that Brutes are able to pull out. Like, I'm so happy that Brutes are reason. Oh, I love this. Okay, there we go. Evolution Protocol is just gonna go, or Evolution Catalyst is gonna go just steal the Luminite Titans. Causeway, it's very good. By the way, the Shroud spreading, this is not really something that we've seen nearly as much from other players, but Snockstar has Shroud on pretty much his entire side of the map, as now we're gonna see Sovereign Watch get dropped, but that is a dead main base off of the Harbinger drop. So, dealing with in this game, they have been dead for a long time, and it will continue. They're just going to run into this army, try to do what they can. Nightfall's not really going to land, but there are so many Gaunts. Welcome back, friends. We have the first of 2 Infernal Mirrors. That's going to get started here today. Ruskov versus Wallace, as MSRM took down, Wallace took down MSRM, which is pretty cool. Love to see more than just the standard. Love to see more than just what is XLR cable got caught when I raised my desk. That was awkward. I'd love to see more than just the standard players. Oh, I need to turn off the grid rotator. Sponsor is, we are not sponsored by Grid. I thought I had. I didn't realize that got saved. There we go. All right. Tournament not sponsored by Grid. I'm glad you like my shirt, DH Leslie. I also like my shirt. I think it's pretty good. Banana Republic, actually. I think it is a a little annoyed. It's looks like it can look a little frumpy around the midsection, but y'all don't see that. Just see how good it looks up top. Frames the face or something. We're gonna move into our second semifinals. Infernal Mirror, Secluded Grove, map number 1. Away we go. All right, so game number 1, spawning the upper right in... Oh, I stepped on cat. Spawning the upper right in the blue. His name is Wallace, although Alpha Storm. It's apparently the Steam name he's going under at the moment. Bottom left in the red. Mainstay in these tournaments. His name is Senegalo Ruskov. Or Ruskov. Hello there, Flibuster. Hope you're doing fantastically. Happy Mother's Day if you're in the United States. Happy Sunday if you're not in the United States. By the way, I just got a new monitor. I got a great deal on an open box OLED monitor because the monitor I have had for the last 5 years or so has like 5 dead pixel lines, and I was just kind of on the lookout to replace it. But my goodness, I'm looking at the production tab in particular with like OLED working, and so the blacks are really black, and it looks so good. Like specifically the production tab looks awesome. So anyways, Gitano Evangelista saying, I take it back, Infernal still OP, which makes me sad because my MMR has been crashing lately. I just need to get good. Gitano, I would just take a look at what some of these Infernal players are doing and copy them. And the answer is build brutes. Make sure you take advantage of the early creeping opportunities and then just get quick Infernal Fury and run at people. Senegal Ruskov is from Senegal, living in France. Yep, absolutely. So, I don't know if anyone asked that, but anyway. Does Magmadon function as a brute counter again, or is it still 95% brutes? I like getting a bunch of Magmadons in the mid game, like 4 or 5 Magmadons in this matchup. You get trample, it stuns them up. They're tanky-ish, and they do bonus damage versus heavy. So they actually can be pretty good, I think. I do like you get like a bunch of Magmadons, you get a bunch of brutes, and then you get like a couple Hellborn just to be able to target fire units down, because Hellborn don't do splash anymore, but this Magmadon brute Hellborn, really just mass vault idea, I think has been fairly good, to the point where I'm almost surprised. I'm not really surprised to see a Conclave out, because it just really helps that much with your creeping early on, and early on getting a couple gaunts, or just throughout the game, having a couple gaunts just to plague your opponent's army is pretty nice. The other thing, by the way, that Magmadons are really good at for at least part of the game, and it's what actually adding gaunts in can do for you as well, is when brutes die, they spawn a bunch of fiends. And you would prefer to be having your brutes fight brutes, your Magmadons fight brutes, not fiends. That just, it's wasted damage. So if you can go and have splash damage that takes the fiends down fairly quickly, that actually makes a big difference in these fights, as Ruskov's the one that's trying to get aggressive here. Don't know how well this is going to work. Defender's advantage is absolutely a thing. So he's going to continue to poke prod, but it's not really going to do all that much for him. Third base now done. This is only 2 base for Senegal. Sorry, this is 1 base from Senegal or Ruskov. I kind of assumed this was a 3 base play. No, this is 1 base. There's no Hellforge. And this is just all about having a lot of units as quickly as possible. And Wallace has no idea that this was the build. He took his 3rd base. He thought this was fine. And he's getting he's getting all in. He's getting his face all in off the map here in this game number 1. It's just way too many brutes. You do not have the solution. There is no greater shrine. There is no Shroudstone manifestation to keep you alive in this game. Nothing like that. He is just waiting way too long. It's going to be another 70 seconds before Infernal Fury is done. And in the meantime, brutes are just killing everything. There is way too much here. This army is way too strong for Senegal or Ruskov. And Wallace is just getting his face all ended off in game number 1. Which is fun, because I feel like almost every Infernal Mirror I see is all, trying to get to the mid game, and Infernal Fury and Hellborn and Magmadons and Greater Shrine. And this is just Ruskov saying, yeah, no. 3 base, or 1 base, 3 vaults all in. Let's go. Do you know what and why Brute changes color? That is Curse, Professor Wannabe. I'm actually pretty happy to see a one base build win. I'm with you, Adamo. I like when aggression can, I like in general when aggression can counter greed. And that has not been a thing necessarily for quite a long time in Stormgate's history. But one basing, it did work out here, and that makes me very happy. Generally, what's been happening is one base, you do a one base all in, your opponent gets a greater shrine, they manifest a shroud stone, you die. They get a Magmadon into your army, you die. Generally how that goes. But not this time. Oh, let me leave that slot. So I'm very happy. Ruskov. I wish I saw the shroud of the natural. I'm like, yeah, I took a natural. This is fine. No, this was in fact a heavy shrine play. It's funny. After casting Stormgate for so many months without a production tab, I'm not really used to looking at it just yet. Yeah, James Libby, I agree. Infernal's too strong right now. I don't know if we're gonna get another patch before 0.5 though. I think this might just be something we gotta live with. As unfortunate as that is. I think it might just be something we gotta live with. Brute Brothers Unite. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna move into game 2 though. Broken Crown ready to go. Infernal too strong, but still fun to play against. So I can say we can make, yeah, it's kind of like, it's not good. It's not good balance right now. And if this was a like 1.0, we were running major tournaments on this patch, absolutely it needs to get fixed. But you know, for a couple community events for people to play in and kind of that's it. They're not really, I think we're probably fine. Oh, but by the way, someone asked earlier, I am talking with Alan Dilling for the next art reveal on Friday. So about 5 days from now, if you have questions for him about more recent questions for him, feel free to go and pop into my Discord and ask those questions in the hashtag Stormgate channel. But yeah, I'll be talking with Alan on Friday. He's got some new art for me. I'd love to see some new, I don't think we're there yet, but he's got some Celestial reveals. That'd be really cool. For now, though, we're going to move into game 2. Ruskov up 1. So now we move into game number 2. Ruskov winning with the one base all in game number 1, which I am very happy with. And, well, okay, this is not quite. This is actually really cool. Look at this. Not quite the one, anything you can do, I can do better type of idea coming out of Wallace, but he is pulling a little bit more aggressively on the map here. Cut through the trees. It's double vault conclave before any natural is going to go down. And taking advantage of the fact that this effigy not only will power all 3 structures, you got to replace it. Replace the Wallace. I was talking about you could get a permanent. I guess it's fine. I guess it was close enough to being completed. It's probably, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Actually, no, that is probably better because you're going to be able to get you're going to be able to have enough animus to drop a second effigy on the Luminite camp or the health camp, something like that. It's probably fine. Okay. But this is, in fact, going to be an all-in. I said, anything you can do, I can do better. Yep, absolutely. That's what we're seeing. 3rd vault on the high ground. So this is 3 vault single conclave for Alpha Storm, for Wallace. And 3 vaults single conclave coming on out here for Ruskov as well. The problem is it's a little bit more delayed. It's a little bit slower than what Wallace went for. But now, ooh, bit of a surround here coming in. I do like this. If you can chase him down, chase him away. And for right now, that seems to be what's happening here. Not Shroud Stone. Effigy is going to get dropped. Allows for a little bit of curse action going on. And now this game is weird. Is both players have the same level of production. Both players have stuff proxied all over the place. How does this shake out? I don't know. But for now, okay, a bunch of brutes are going to find them. Taking this conclave down is super nice. We talked about how powerful having a couple gaunts into this army is, because you can go deal with the Fiends fairly easily. The Phantoms, you can take those down. It's a little bit of curse on top of everything. So this is a reasonable fight for Ruskov right now. He's the one that actually has the speed camp. So it's a little bit easier for his army to reposition, a little bit easier to reestablish that concave. Unfortunately, this is also right into Defender's advantage. Theoretically, that should be good for Wallace, but the first hit worked out very nicely here. And even though I think there was a Hellborn Resurgence to get a couple brutes out of this this vault pretty quickly, it's still going pretty nicely. Yeah, very nicely for Ruskov, all things considered. He still has all of his Gaunts alive. He's going to continue to kite away, and now, well, it's Conclave's dead. And these Gaunts, they continue to kite into and out of the speed zone. They're holding on to it, and Wallace just, he doesn't have enough here anymore. This is beautiful play from Ruskov. He just, it seems like he's just got a better understanding of the matchup. Like, straight up here, his Gaunts kiting away. I mean, this is, eventually they're going to go down, but you assume he's going to have more. And he has just, he's opened this game up massively. 100%. He actually split some of his brutes to turn him into Fiends, and because he's on Shroud, the vault, it's just going to take a bunch of minus armor. These Fiends, every attack, -2 armor here. So this structure is just going to go down faster and faster. And yeah, Wallace is dead. 2-game lead for Ruskov in this best of 5. Did they mention 0.5 is quicker in the patch cycle? We don't know, Flyleaf. In the patch 0.4 introduction video that Tim Campbell did, he said it's coming very soon. Or like, we'll have more campaign for you soon. Now, what that means, I don't know. Does that mean in 2 months, the standard patch schedule? Does it mean something faster? I don't know. Yeah, question is whether it is very soon or very soon TM. Like the good old Blizzard soon. But yeah, those Gaunts were just playing the Benny Hill theme. As these 1-base all-ins from Ruskov are working very nicely. I hope he keeps doing it because I haven't had lunch yet. I was trying to have lunch before the tournament broadcast started, but I realized I was out of quinoa for this kind of quinoa bowl I'd been making, so I had to go make it, and it wasn't ready in time. So I'm gonna have to eat it up after this. Do an ad roll and go eat a slice of bread. I actually don't have any bread in the house. Mad Arena. I'm just waiting for the third lobby. So we're gonna see how that is, how long that's gonna go. I mean, it is fun seeing like the standard, the regular Discord people like, the game. 1 second, I have something to show you all. This there we go. This is illegal. Do you see this right now? This absolute criminal thinks she can just sit on top of my desktop and thinks this is okay. It's illegal. Sorry, cat. She is very warm. She's been sitting on top of my computer, making my computer run less efficiently, reducing the quality of the broadcast for you all. Callista, what do you have to say for yourself? You're very cute. You can be on top of my desk, that's fine. Oh yes, Professor Wannabe, thank you for reminding me. This tournament is Matcherino supported, which means that you can go and claim the code for free. Game 3 lobby? All right, game 3 is hosted up now. We're good to go. Bringing her up was a mistake. Now she just wants all the pets. This cat is way too needy. Claire is in LA for the weekend visiting friends. So the cats are like, there is only one set of hands for petting. So I was doing something on my computer yesterday and she was just like hiding her head in my armpit so I could, you know. Quiet Turtle. I've actually turned off the power button. So the power button does not turn my computer off. There's a hardware reset button that I've not gotten around to disconnecting yet. And that the cat has reset my computer a couple times. We're going to move into game 3. Ruination's going to be the map. Let's go. So here we are. It's game 3. Ruskov up 2 games to 0. There was a cat currently really investigating my microphone. So the observing gets weird for a second. That is absolutely why. But she is very cute. And it's, you know, who could say no to that face? If you're watching this on YouTube, I am sorry. But if you watched it live, you could have seen the cat. You know, she's trying to steal my glass of water. Okay, well, you know what? Cats are cats. We're going to see Ruskov. He's going to open up something very different in this game 3 compared to what the first 2 saw. It's a shrine first. It's shrine first in this game number 3. He's been going 1 base all ins the first 2 games. I love the series planning. Flyleaf, it is not, in fact, the cat's fault for DLSS crashing out. That is a DLSS issue. Had to put the cat on the shelf. That is a DLSS issue. That was introduced with the most recent patch. I have gone and done everything I can to mitigate it, but sometimes it just is angry anyways. Need some anti-homeless kitten architecture on that desktop case. Yeah, if someone's got a good solution, a good thought on just a rack I can put on top of my desktop that is well ventilated, because just like putting a normal something on top of there is just going to be a similar problem to be a cat being on top in terms of minimizing or maximizing heat flow. But I just need to find like a shelf that has a bunch of ventilation slats in, so the cat can sit on top of that and not mess with the and not cause problems. How would you do a hard computer reset then? You just never turn your computer off. Yeah, see, that's the problem. If I ever saw like a hard crash and I needed a hardware reset it, that would be yanking the power plug probably. What I have right now is I have a checkbook on top of the reset button, so the cat doesn't go and, you know, restart my computer mid-broadcast, which has happened before, by the way. Anyways, so this was Alpha Storm. This was Wallace. He got his Vault Conclave before the Shrine. So minor bit of a macro lead, theoretically, coming out of Ruskov in this game. It's actually, well, there it is. All right. Proxy third base coming out of Ruskov in this game 3. It's going to take a while because he didn't bring a meat farm down there, and he is not dropping effigies because he does still theoretically care about creeping, one would assume. Sorry, I had to exfiltrate the cat from the top of the desktop again. Oh, sorry, cat. She's trying to make herself known by, you know, weaving her way around my feet, just petting herself up against me, which is very cute. But I moved my foot forward and I didn't see her, and I kind of accidentally knocked the cat with my foot. I'm like, oh man, I'm a horrible person now. Who called in the fleet saying, did Ariel sponsor this tournament? Ariel is organizing this tournament, and I believe they put up money for the circuit finals. I don't believe they are sponsoring directly this tournament, but I don't think they're putting up a prize pool for this week, first week of the circuit. I think it's about $50 right now. But however, if you want to go support the tournament itself, !Match Arena will A, claim codes, B, you can donate money to the prize pool if you would like. But look at this, Senegal Ruskov, third base, up and running. Love to see that one. And he's now triple Spire. He's going a bunch of Spriggans in this game 3, which is very cool. Spriggans versus pretty much everything but Gaunts. Spriggans are great. And in general, you're not going multiple conclaves in this matchup. You're really not. So if you can get the Spriggans up in time. Oh, does he know about this? How in the world do you know about this, Wallace? What did you see? Wait. Wallace scouted out the corner of this somehow. He saw what was happening, and this proxy base is not going to work out whatsoever. They're really putting so much weight on these Spriggans to do something. And that base is dead. Power supply can turn the computer off, but I think you'd have trouble turning it back on again. Well, I can unplug the computer and plug it back in, Acquired Turtle, theoretically. And by the way, the power button is software disabled, so I can use it to turn the computer on. I just cannot, pressing the power button once the computer is on does not turn it off. That's how that works. Just so you all are aware. I mean, that's how that works. But anyways, Spriggans are now on the map in reasonable numbers, but not massively so, as Wallace has scouted out some of this. Is this random fiend run by actually just doing something? But there are not enough Spriggans here to take this fight. There are enough. Gaunts just do counter Spriggans, so you have to hit him with a big swarm to make this worthwhile. And the Spriggans are just not there. This ground army does not win without it. So the Spriggans are going to get on top of the backside where the Gaunts are. That's not going to work out. The front side, well, the brutes have stun, and the other brutes don't have stun. That's also not going to work out incredibly well. Ruskov, very cool idea, proxying the third base. Went for mass Spriggans. It didn't work whatsoever. He is dead. Wallace puts their way back in the tournament. Do you see this criminal? She's been so naughty. Did I recently buy a new computer? No. No, the cat has just gotten more accurate with her paws. The cat has just gotten more accurate with her paws, is the story. You have to log in, Relic, to claim your code. Anyway, this cat is being exiled from the office. 1 second. I feel bad about it, but yeah, she's got an air tag on her because the cats were criminals once and escaped, and Claire is making sure that when we actually, not even this cat, she had a previous cat at her apartment, which actually the reason she ended up moving out and getting a house, funnily enough, who escaped like the day because I was living with her for a summer, like right around the same time that I moved out, moved back up to New Hampshire. One of her cats escaped and is now king of the sewer at that apartment complex, pretty sure. They've been able to get lots of footage of him on different security cameras, but the complex wouldn't let her go and put traps out. Wouldn't let her go and actually try to trap her cat and get the cat back. So now air tags, make sure you're able to figure out where the cat is. Yeah, Boxui. Good luck getting a computer in this day and age. Tariffs are bad, man. Everything's a lot more expensive. And you know, if you're hearing container ships are coming into like Seattle ports 35% empty. Yeah, it's a rough, if you're trying to get new tech right now, it is a rough time. More expensive, less choices. Yeah, I am very happy that I have what I have when I got it. And like the new monitor I got, that was an open box. You know, I got that off of Craigslist because someone didn't like it. And I thought it was great. Looks awesome. Exactly what I wanted. But they, I think for this one they had gone. They wanted an ultra wide instead. So sold it to me for less than it was. I think if you're trying to get a new computer, I think realistically you are looking at Craigslist right now. I think you're looking at Facebook Marketplace to get a fair price. Depending on where you live. The desktop I have right now, actually. So we have two powerful desktops in this office because eventually we're going to start to do some cool kind of production stuff. And the one that I'm running, actually, I did find off of Craigslist. Some guy had bought it and wanted to do some production work and ended up not really doing so. He needed Max or something. It was the stuff he was doing needed a Mac, and he thought he could do it on Windows and just didn't like it. So I was able to get a pretty nice haircut on this desktop that I have. And we have another one that I built back in the the 3000 series there. It's got a 5300 X3D 3090. It's got a 3090 in it. But man, it's a bad time to be trying to get new technology right now. I've seen some websites with the same price logic and configuration as Apple. A little more memory adds 200 euros to the bill, and this for everything. Yeah. It is interesting with tariffs. Apple is theoretically, because they did a pretty good job, I think, of getting a lot of stuff in country in the United States before everything got started. Like stories of like 747s of iPhones being airlifted out of India before the tariffs. They might actually be a reasonable value, cost prop going forward. As we're going to move into game number 4 here, Isle of Dread. Let's see if Ruskov has what it takes. Here we are. It's game number 4. Ruskov, Wallace. We had Ruskov go kind of very aggressive the first 2 games, has won with it. Tried to go something a little bit crazier in the second game, in the third game. Got punished. I'm not exactly sure why Wallace knew to check the corner base, if that was a proxy, but he did. He saw the shroud. He pulled his entire army over, killed off the third base. Did not let Ruskov get away with what he wanted to do. That means that we are. Well, there's a map on the board, which is good news if you're a Wallace fan. I think that Ruskov has just been looking much better on his timings. But now we're into bigger maps. That's kind of the other thing that we're paying attention to here. It's a bigger map to play on. Isle of Dread is not Titan's Causeway, is not Broken Crown, something like that. So it's a map that you can get away with expanding on, theoretically. Although Ruskov, not really doing so. He's double vault conclave into a shrine. So while he is expanding, he wants to put a lot of pressure on the map. Yeah, good luck on that one, Acquired Turtle. That's just something I try to avoid with my family because it is with very differing opinions. Sorry. Very different realities. But anyways, so Ruskov, of course, has a little bit more production, and it's kind of interesting here. You weigh in double vault conclave into double shrine. So is kind of trying to have his cake and eat it too. Have a little bit more stuff on the map early, and then make up for it by having a lot more in production a little bit later on, kind of like spam catch up to it. Meanwhile, for our blue Infernal player, he went Vault Conclave into a second vault, so he's going to have the same amount of production. In fact, he's got 2 more vaults on the way. I think in general, I just like this. I just like Wallace's build more. If you're not going to go try to kill your opponent, which clearly is not going to happen for Ruskov because it's Isle of Dread and it's just way too big, I like the build a lot more. You have more economy, you have the same, if not more production, and just in general, you're in a better spot. Although, I think Ruskov Hellspawn. Yes, Ruskov did Hellspawn. So Ruskov actually got ahead in economy by just a little bit. Well, actually, no, that wasn't Hellspawn, maybe. That may not have been Hellspawn. That may have just been spending less imps on structures, is what's happening with this one. So certainly we do have Infernal Fury on the way for Wallace. That's pretty fun. I don't see, oh no, there's a Hellforge. And there's enough money for Ruskov to get his Infernal Fury going. And the longer this goes, this is very much like stim versus no stim in TVT or something. You absolutely, if you're building the same stuff and your opponent has stim and you do not have stim, or you have Fury and your opponent doesn't have Fury, you just cannot fight. It's just not a viable option. So we're going to have to see how this thing is going to go. For now, Ruskov, he's got his 3rd base done. He's got his 4th base on the way. And this is the benefit, for lack of a better term, of this map. It is a big map. It is very hard to get aggressive. So you can
play very greedy if you would like to. Now, whether this is going to happen, I don't know, but well, not whether this is going to happen, whether Wallace or Ruskov is going to attempt to go punish their opponent for this, maybe not, maybe. Oh, we're going to try to punish this one at the very least. So this is a little bit awkward here. The creep camp was claimed by Ruskov, both bounty and passive area, but theoretically this army took some damage. Nightfall, though, is going to slow the disengage, and that's going to be fine. So Ruskov, 4th base done. His economy is just better at this point. That is the long and short of it. It is just better. He's here, well, actually, so he's 5 of 12. Excuse me. 3 of 12, that's 8 out of 12. Call it 20. 32. What are we at here? This is 11 plus 12. So that's 23. 28. 29, 30. Yeah, so it is a better economy for Ruskov, all things considered. And he just continues to expand. Another base on the bottom right side. Supplies are pretty equal for right now. A large portion of that is because he's building all these shrines. He is so... he's going to go try to take this base too. Ruskov, this actually might be too aggressive on the shrine production. Because what this is going to mean, he has spent so much money and so many imps on getting structures up that he theoretically is not going to have as many imps to actually mine. And this is absolutely an issue, a mistake that you can make. But as it stands, if he does not get if he doesn't get countered, if he does not get punished for this, then he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to have 6 shrines, 6 imps at a time to really max out on everything else. And for the meantime, Infernal Fury certainly is done. He's got a Harbinger here as well. Oh, sorry, that's Alpha Storm. That's Wallace. He has the Harbinger here ready to go. So there is that. But there's not one of the benefits of dropping these meat farms. There's a line of vision. This is a setup where it is very difficult for Wallace to find his way onto the other side of the map without getting scouted. So Harbinger now under vision. The army thinking about rotating over. Not a lot of units. Only 3 imps in this Luminite line, and they're going to die, but it's not a lot. But the big issue always with a drop is that you can go and play around a little bit more. So thinking about a drop in the niche. Shadow Flyer. Oh, God, they got them all. That is beautiful. Now, apparently, if you kill brutes, this feels like a bug, but apparently if you kill brutes inside of a Shadow Flyer, inside of a Harbinger, they spawn all their fiends on the ground. I don't think that's how that should work. The fiends should also go down with the ship. But apparently that's not the case. Regardless, that was a bit of a disaster there. The drop did not work out for Wallace whatsoever. Now, he does have a massive supply lead. Sitting here 164 versus 149 because of the money that has been invested and has not really come to fruition yet. There's a lot of, it's 2 workers on this base, 5 workers on this base. We're not fully saturated here. There's another shrine. There are so many shrines that have been made. But there's a dragon out now as well. That's another reason why this supply was kind of not balanced for the time being, because you're saving up for a dragon. So the dragon's now out. We are entering a solid late game. And if Ruskov's on top of things, which I assume he is going to be, if he's on top of just building his imps, his economy is just scaling. It's theoretically going to scale that much faster. I made a mistake, by the way. I did not shoo the cat away. I'm pretty sure the cat took a drink of my water glass, so now I don't have water. I got to go out of the next game. I need to go and refill that water. That's very sad. I have a touch of the thirst. Interestingly enough, by the way, we are seeing Ruskov. He's just getting every upgrade in the book, but he's getting Reaper Rush. And I think this is not a gaunt heavy army. It is rather surprising, as we see a couple Weavers in this army, but no dragon. There's enough money for it. Okay, there we go. There's the dragon on both sides. I was going to say, a little surprised we're not seeing that one. But this is not a gaunt heavy army. Reaper Rush doesn't have the insane amount of value that you might otherwise expect it to have. Yeah, Carl Bjorklund, you're right. If I put a no cats allowed on desk sign, the cat won't go on the desk. It's really, I don't know why I didn't think about that. I really should have done so. Honestly, if that was a dog, maybe it works. You train him to respect the signs. good luck training a cat to do anything other than the cat wants to do in the first place. Look, I trained the cat to go get fed. No, the cat was just hungry. I trained the cat to show me her butthole. No, that was just the cat being a cat. For now, the big attack coming into the middle of the map here. And this is potentially a beautiful, look at this flank coming in. Bunch of speed brutes coming in from the bottom side. It's a full 360. This is beautiful. Everyone's gonna get shrouded up. It's kind of impossible. Everyone's getting cursed up. Very difficult to see what's happening in this fight. But notice Dragon here totally zoned out. Totally zoned out for Wallace. And Ruskov, his Dragon, can be there fighting the entire time. Shadow Flyers did not hit him and very much hit that of Wallace. So yeah, this was a disaster of a fight here. You knew it was going to be bad when the surround hit, and you knew it was going to be extra bad once the Dragon had to run away. That's 90 damage a shot, making even more fiends or more phantoms get spawned. And another fight's going to join this, but it's not really all that great. Also, their Magmadon upgrades, both upgrades, right? Demon Hoof, Tremors, Raging Tendons. These Magmadons are just better. Yes, there will be a Nightfall, and the Dragon's a little bit healthier. But actually, I don't see any Shadow Flyers in the vicinity, but even still, it doesn't. Okay, no, Shadow Flyers came from the backside. 2 stacks of minus armor. Wallace has this game. He played so greedy, so insanely greedy in the early to mid game, and he was not punished because this is Isle of Dread, and you can play greedy. And now he is reaping those rewards. His army is just bigger. They have more upgrades. It's better. The Dragon can fight better. And these bases are just slowly getting taken out here. The only downside, like SimCity's gonna take a moment, but yeah, Wallace cannot fight this whatsoever here. Shadow Flyers are gonna try to join the fray, but the Dragon is dead on the other side. And oh, there we go. Wallace is very dead. That one incredible fight did so very much. And it's gonna be Ruskov versus Snockstar in the finals. My cat sleeps on my desk all day. If my cat was just sleeping on my desk, that'd be fine, but that's not what she does. Carl Bjorklund or Delirious, she sits in front of my monitor, so I can't see half my monitor. Or just like hops into my lap and aggressively headbutts me. Yeah, PDX inevitable. The art looks better, but we are waiting on the visibility pass. I have no doubt that Alan's going to make that happen. I'm going to ask about that. I'm going to ask him about that on Friday. Because the curse effect just makes it impossible to tell. Anyways, we're going to go for a break. When we're back, it's going to be the grand finals. IVI. You can go and have splash damage that takes the fiends down fairly quickly. That actually makes a big difference in these fights, as Ruskov's the one that's trying to get aggressive here. Don't know how well this is going to work. Defender's advantage is absolutely a thing. So he's going to continue to poke prod, but it's not really going to do all that much for him. Almost every Infernal mirror I see is all, trying to get to the mid game, and Infernal Fury and Hellborn and Magmadons and Greater Shrine. And this is just Ruskov saying, yeah, no. 3 base or 1 base, 3 volts all in. Let's go. Replace the Wallace. I was talking about you could get a permanent. I guess it's fine. I guess it was close enough to being completed. It's okay. Yeah. Actually, no, that is probably better. A little bit more delayed. It's a little bit slower than what Wallace went for. But now, ooh, bit of a surround here coming in. I do like this. If you can chase him down, chase him away. And for right now, that seems to be what's happening here. Stone. FG Phantoms, you can take those down. It's a little bit of curse on top of everything. So this is a reasonable fight for Ruskov right now. He's the one that actually has the speed camp. So it's a little bit easier for his army to reposition, a little bit easier to reestablish that concave. Unfortunately, this is also right into Defender's advantage. Theoretically, that should be good. Going pretty nicely. Yeah, very nicely for Ruskov, all things considered. He still has all of his Gaunts alive. He's going to continue to kite away. And now, well, it's Conclave's dead. And these Gaunts, they continue to kite into and out of the speed zone. They're holding on to it. And Wallace he doesn't have enough here anymore. This is beautiful play from Ruskov. 100%. He actually split some of his brutes to turn him into fiends. And because he's on Shroud, the Vault, it's just going to take a bunch of minus armor. These fiends, every attack -2 armor here. So this structure is just going to go down faster and faster. And yeah, Wallace is dead. 2-game lead for Ruskov in this best of 5. Birds are going to get on top of the backside where the Gaunts are. That's not going to work out. The front side, well, the brutes have stun and the other brutes don't have stun. That's also not going to work out incredibly well. Ruskov, very cool idea, proxying the third base, went for mass brigands. It didn't work whatsoever. He is dead. Wallace puts their way back in the tournament, at the very least. So this is a little bit awkward here. The creep camp was claimed by Ruskov, both bounty and passive area, but theoretically this army took some damage. Nightfall, though, is going to slow the disengage, and that's gonna be fine. So Ruskov, 4th base done. His economy is just better at this point. That is the longest side of the map without getting scattered. So Harbinger now under vision. The army thinking about rotating over. Not a lot of units. Only 3 imps in this Luminite line, and they're gonna die, but it's not a lot. But the big issue always with a drop is that you can go and play around a little bit more. So thinking about a drop in the niche. Shadow Flyer. Oh God, they got them all. That is beautiful. Now apparently, if you kill brutes, this feels like a bug, but apparently if you kill brutes inside of a Shadow Flyer, instant brutes coming in from the bottom side, it's a full 360. This is beautiful. Everyone's gonna get shrouded up. It's kind of impossible. Everyone's getting cursed up. Very difficult to see what's happening in this fight. But notice Dragon here totally zoned out. Totally zoned out for Wallace. And Ruskov, his dragon, can be there fighting the entire time. Shadow Flyers, difficult to see what's happening in this fight. But notice Dragon here totally zoned out. Totally zoned out for Wallace. And Ruskov, his dragon, can be there fighting the entire time. Shadow Flyers did not hit him and very much hit that amount of Wallace. So yeah, this was a disaster of a fight here. Wallace cannot fight this whatsoever here. Shadow Flyers are going to try to join the fray, but the dragon is dead on the other side. And oh, there we go. Wallace is very dead. That one incredible fight did so very much. And it's going to be Ruskov. Welcome back, friends. We got a grand finals well, not underway just yet, but getting started. It's going to be Snockstar versus Ruskov. BO7. Update that one. Don't see any Infernal player use Hexen anymore since 0.4. We saw that in the first series, actually. That was Ruskov versus Stanks. Theoretically, you go and you get a big brute around, and then you drop a miasma on their heads, and that actually can work out fairly nicely. I like miasma. I've been playing with it a little bit, but well, sorry. I would have been playing with it a little bit if I played anything other than the Infernal Mirror. That'd be nice. Although in fairness, I think I would much prefer playing I think I do prefer playing IVI versus ZVP right now. So, you know, on the balance of only playing one matchup. I think one of these is in fact better than the other, but we have a grand finals. We're ready to go. We're going to start with Jack and Ma, which can be some pretty cool. Give us some pretty cool games, all things considered. For now, though, game 1 is best of 7 grand finals. Spotting the upper right in the blue for Aftermath Esports, it's Snockstar. And the bottom left, taking down Wallace 3-1, looking very good in this matchup. Took down MSRM as well. Well, Wallace took down MSRM, so functionally taking down MSRM as well. It's Ruskov. See, we got people in the chat talking about how miasma should be a thing. Should be maybe a little bit more interesting. Oh, Ruskov, you dirty, dirty boy. I love you. This is disgusting. Triple vault on the other side of the trees, because guess what, folks? Brutes can walk through trees now. Checkmate, atheist. You can't explain that one. Brutes couldn't walk through trees. Now they can. Yeah, Kuka on the fleet. Yes, this is I am looking forward to the time. Oh, we have a pause. Okay, we're just gonna wait for the ping to settle back down. I am looking forward to the time when we have something that isn't IVI in top 4. Now, in fairness, we had CVI and IVI in top 4. It was not just Infernal Mirror all the way down, which is very nice. So, Revolt's just about done here. Brutes are being made immediately. And this is not something that has been scouted out, by the way. Snockstar has not sent an early, actually, you can't even do it anymore, but hasn't sent an early Phantom over, hasn't gone and sent a Fiend over. He has no idea that he's about to get a hit. Well, he's going to get hit on really hard by all of these Brutes. Now, this is not the build that it used to be, where you used to be able to go and have Brutes arrive and save Hellspawn and just have like so many Brutes out. Not quite the case. In fact, it doesn't work at all. Ruskov just dies immediately, just taps out. Okay, well, that's game 1. Now, big reason why I am looking forward to something not being Infernal Mirror all the way down is it's easier for me to make YouTube content. Because people, YouTube doesn't watch mirrors at all. Like sometimes I can go and make it work. Sometimes I can clickbait it hard enough, but mirror matchups just don't get YouTube viewership. So it also makes me very sad, but I'm like, hey guys, I cast for 5 hours today. It's not gonna be that long this time, but I cast for 5 hours. I got 2 VODs that I can put up on YouTube. I aim for 5. But anyway, Snockstar is restarting Stormgate just to fix the ping fluctuation, but he was able to hold on anyways. How do the coach things work at the prize pool? So DH if you log in with your Matcherino account or your Blizzard account or your whatever it is, there are a bunch of different accounts you can log into. You log in with that into Matcherino, and then you hit a claim code button. And when you hit claim code, it claims the code and it adds 25 cents to the prize pool. Statty Citizen, I agree. We should buff Infernals. I am still a big fan of the suggestion that existed a bit ago, last week, where someone was saying that each Infernal, once you have Infernal Fury, each Infernal swipe should give you a 1% chance to just win the game right there. I think that's great. Instead of a stun, you stun your opponent out of the game. Death, as we all know, death is the strongest stun in video games. That's how that works. So if you go, you get your stun, great. You've won the game. Awesome. All right, so game 2 is on the way. The join code is not V. Infernal power comes from consuming animus from worlds. What if they had a different wealth system? Oh, what if they had a different money system altogether, expressed by playing with numbers and names? I don't think so. Because we do have this. That's already expressed. Right, Infernal uses animus to power their rituals, their top bar abilities. Much like Celestials have power, that cascade field power that powers their top bar abilities, in the same way that you just have like energy for the Vanguard that is already represented. And there should be baseline, and it's one of those things that like there just should be baseline resources that everyone is getting. Otherwise, it gets really weird. Yeah, that's Michaela saying that's what Animus is, a top bar resource. And top bar is kind of cool as well because it allows you to have abilities that would be too strong if units had them, but because you can curtail them a little bit better, it works out fairly nicely. Also, it means that you can have more abilities without being like having to be a concert pianist to get them all off. So we're going to move into game number 2. It's going to be Last Hope. So we're now moving into game 2. Hayes Pacific Northwest asks, I completely forgot about this game. Did it ever release? Hayes, we are currently in early access patch 0.4.2. So early access happened last August to really not a good release, unfortunately. Just how it went, it was undercooked. But what we now know actually is kind of interesting. If you look at their most recent financial report, is that they had to release them on July 31st, which is when the paid version of early access went live. 2 weeks later, the free-to-play version went live. Because if they hadn't, they would have had to start making payments on the principal of a $2 million loan from the Silicon Valley Bank, the base $2 million, instead of just making payments on the interest. But if they released into early access, then they could continue paying interest-only payments until November 30th of this year. So they were forced into it. They had to do it. Otherwise, it just would have been way, way too expensive. Their burn rate would have increased significantly. So it was not a great early access release, but ever since that point, every patch has been getting much better and much better and much better. I mean, you look at the game now and you look at what it looked like in early access 0.0.0, and it's, I don't even know if it's fair to say night and day. It's, I don't even know. It's massively improved. The most recent patch, 0.4, led to a quarter of the way because they're going to redesign or like rework, give another pass to all 3 factions to make them more interesting. And we are like a quarter of the way through their Infernal redesign. Vanguard, not really there. They've had some unit redesigns, but I'm talking about like gameplay redesigns. And Celestial's not even started. Twinkle in the eye, but they're going to work on it. But the big thing for 0.4 is the fact that there's an actual campaign now. There are 6 missions. Obviously, that's not going to be the grand totality of it, but there are 6 missions that actually make sense. There's a hub. They don't suck, which is where 0.0 was. The first look at the campaign was just horrible. Like as someone who spends a lot of time playing, thinking, watching, doing all these things about Stormgate, making content about Stormgate, you know, I am not too proud to say that it was horrible. The first campaign was really bad, but this one is, I don't know where it stands in terms of on the annals of good RTS campaigns, because I'm not a campaign guy. All things being said, I'm not a big RTS campaign guy, but it was fun. I did not regret my time playing, and I was able to get through all of it, and I enjoyed the missions, and that's kind of where it needs to be. You know, and it's still not done, by the way. It's still a work in progress. There are still clearly kind of some placeholders and rough edges and things that will continue to improve. But for now, we got a big 2-base push coming out of Snockstar here. This imp is going to go and cut the trees down. And Ruskov, what are you going to do? Infernal Fury done in about 20 seconds. Now, Ruskov will be aware of this because the meat farm is here. It's going to get taken down. And there is that, and now Ruskov might be able to try to take advantage of this. Well, I don't know. He's just gonna have to run back home. Infernal Fury done very soon. It's a big timing. It's about, the difference between the two of them is that Snockstar has Infernal Fury, and, well, Infernal Fury only just now getting started for Ruskov, but he does have high ground, does have defender's advantage. Notice here, Snockstar move commands in before he attack moves to try to optimize, to make sure he's got the really good surface area for all of these stuns on Infernal Fury. Of course, because of this upgrade, not only are his brutes stunning, not only are they running in, they're attacking faster, they're just doing more. We talked about this early on. It's stim versus no stim, and certainly, theoretically, the stim player should just do it better. So Snockstar is building a supply lead now, continues to punch in. His brutes, his gaunts have died, and he did not kill every single brute. This attack has not ended the game. As I'm not sure, this meat farm is hilarious. His attack has not ended the game. In fact, it was a very nice defense from Senegal Ruskov, and now he's got his 3rd base done. Snockstar, there is no greater shrine here. There is no further development in this game. It's kind of in a rough spot. As Shadow Blizzard said, no third base for Snockstar. This was a 2-base all-in that I think had a very reasonable opportunity to work, but not quite good enough. And oh, by the way, we did have Ruskov. He was able to go and take his Luminite camp already. So not only did he have his third base mining, and he's now fully saturated, he's had this trickle drag of Luminite for quite a while. But now Snockstar's going to run in the main base. He's got a bunch of fiends. They're going to get on top of this base, reduce the armor just up by 20, which matters a decent amount. But can they get more done here? It's not a good concave for Snockstar as we see Ruskov micro back up a little bit more. He's lost the fight on the right side already, and now Hellspawn resurges into this just a little bit more. Yeah, Snockstar does not win this. Absolutely not. No way in hell. This is not going to work out for him whatsoever. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him just tap out. The all-in failed once. It failed a second time. And yeah, he's dead. So we're tied up at 1 game apiece in this best of 7. Ruskov holds on against Snockstar's Fury timing. He wins game 2. Snockstar is now restarting his router. Stop fiddling with loud things on my desk. Why did he lose despite the upgrade? A better, who called in the fleet? Couple things. A, defender's advantage. Be able to reinforce right into the fight. I think there was a Hellspawn there as well to get more stuff out. B, the SimCity worked very well here for Ruskov, where he had a lot of guns. And they're able to fire over the SimCity in a way that you can't really do so for Snockstar because he was just mass brutes. So the Gaunts were there adding just consistent damage the entire time. Brutes were kind of plugging the gaps with all this SimCity. And while Snockstar was attacking a lot, he wasn't really able to effectively meat grinder his way through the army to eventually make that happen. But yes, Meat Farm versus Meat Farm used to be the meta. I am so glad that is not a meta anymore. That was horrible. It's not as bad as the turret rushing meta, but Meat Farm rushing, that's just not RTS gameplay. Like, let's be honest for a second. Meat Farm rushing is just, it's not RTS. Also, I love there's a, saw someone talking about wanting to, what's the word? Wishing the brighter colors. And it's funny because I saw someone on the Reddit thread like, yeah, you know, this was clearly the Discord being too critical. Discord was too critical and led them to be darker. It's like, man, literally, you go to Reddit, you go to Liquidpedia, or you go to Team Liquid, you go to YouTube comments, you go to Twitter. Everyone's like, wow, this game is not dark and gritty enough. So I think it's kind of funny now that we have kind of swing back the other way. Everyone's like, well, hey, you know, I miss the brighter colors. I'm like, well, you can't have both worlds. I think the game looks great right now. I think there's certainly some visibility issues that need to get solved, but remember when Meat Farm turned into fiends for your opponent? Yeah, that was a fun one. Remember also when you could go and drop Shroudstone manifestations on your opponent's shrines because the game didn't differentiate? So you were going this, so you went for this, it was very funny. You would go and have a Gaunt drop in your opponent's main base, and then you would drop a Shroudstone on their main base as well. So it was eight Gaunts and a overpowered Shroudstone that not only attacked twice as fast as it does right now, but also did double damage. It actually, we banned it from tournaments because it was clearly a bug. It was clearly just overpowered as hell and just not fun. There was also a bug where you could go drop, Hellborn or really anything, but you could drop units outside of the map, kind of behind the where the trees are, the unpathable terrain, unlike Broken Crown. So you could go and drop high range Hellborn outside of the map. And as long as you had vision of your opponent's Luminite line, you could go and shell your opponent's Luminite line with untouchable Hellborn. That was also fun. All right, so we're going to move into Ruination. That's going to be game number 3, and let's go. So it's game number 3. Ruination is very much a map that it is not uncommon to go Shrine first because it is free. Now, because of that, sometimes we'll see players get very aggressive because they think their opponent is going to go Shrine first. And that's actually kind of what's happening here. Snockstar, Volt Conclave. Although I think this is going to be Volt Conclave into a Shrine based on this effigy positioning. So theoretically, assuming Snockstar doesn't end the game, Snockstar doesn't get a ton of damage with this push, theoretically here, as the Shroud's going to go down, and yeah, Natural's going to get started. Theoretically, this is just better for Ruskov. His Natural is faster. It's going to be done much faster than Snockstar's is, which means it's going to be a bit of an imp lead. You get that triple charge spawning all of a sudden, which goes and gives you imps, certainly, and it just means that there's going to be a bit of an eco lead. In this game, Voice Aim is saying resources to collect as well as resources to destroy. I mean, I don't want there to be a game when, like, if I can go and drop and kill my opponent, like destroy my opponent's Luminite mine, yeah, that's not fun. Now, if I want a long distance mine, like a late game, if I want to go and long distance mine or take one of my opponent's bases before they take it so I can take a lot of money from it, that's cool. That is interactive gameplay. I love when we see that in like TVZs that are going late in StarCraft 2, where you see the Zerg player get pretty aggressive with their expansion pattern to go take money from the Terran. So when eventually the game gets mined out, it's all about trades. You have actually mined more from the map than your opponent. That's cool. But being able to go and kill off bases, kill off resources, I don't like that. That feels more like griefing than anything else. It's just like, imagine, for the sake of an example, imagine a TVZ in StarCraft 2, because that is a very clear setup where the Zerg player has to always mine more, the Terran player will always be more efficient. We don't really quite have those matchups here in Stormgate. But imagine a TVZ in StarCraft 2. If I'm a Terran player and if I can destroy resources, the moment I know it's going to be going late, I'm going to go and say it's an 8 bases, a 16 base map. So 8 bases on each side is a nice little run by here. Getting into the 3rd base, going to kill off 2 workers, and Ruskov doesn't seem confident to believe that he can defend this. He does not have a greater shrine. So it's just a little bit awkward. He's fully surrounded here as well. This is not exactly what Ruskov would like to deal with. He's doing his best, and he should be able to keep the, he's going to be able to keep the base alive. Actually, all of his gaunts getting a little bit low, but this is going to be trading army for army. Defender's advantage is going to kick in, and yeah, okay. So he's going to be fine, actually. Actually takes a really nice trade on that one, and his 3rd base stays alive. He lost a couple imps, but not the end of the world here. But anyways, going back to that thought. If I'm playing a late game TVZ, the moment I realize that this game is going to go late as a Terran player, if this is a game where I could go destroy resources, for the safe example, say it's a 16 base map, so 8 bases aside, which is a pretty standard big number for pretty solid number for like a big map, a macro map in StarCraft 2. I'm immediately gonna go, as Snockstar seems to be dealing with some ping again, but I'm immediately gonna be going and I'm gonna go send my army, send portions of my army to the 7th and 8th base. I'm going to kill off those resources. I am going to destroy those resources because if I can reduce this to a 6-base game versus a 6-base game, I'm winning this game because of just how everything works. Yeah, gaining Animus is kind of that. You can still, you certainly do have Infiltrate. Vanguard is Infiltrate that can go and you can steal money from your opponents. Yeah, but it really is unfortunate. Snockstar's had a lot of server issues recently. Just this has been reported. This is a dev report or a bug report that has been sent to the devs, by the way. Why could he not claim that? He had units. Oh, that's just a visual bug. Okay, he did it. It's showing on the mini map, just not showing there. So that base or that camp has been claimed by Snockstar. But now we're in the situation where this quicker expand, quicker third base. Look at the supply now. Ruskov is significantly ahead in supply. There will be a slim window. I'm talking like 10 seconds where Infernal Fury is done for Snockstar, but it isn't for Ruskov. But now it's done as well, and the army is just bigger. Now, Ruskov doesn't want to attack into this, probably. It is way too far across. Well, it's a really good concave. Maybe he does here want to attack into this, and as more reinforcements continue to arrive, Ruskov continues to just shred away at this, and it's a 30 supply lead. I don't know about this one, guys. I think Snockstar has just been got. This really comes off the build orders off the top, this ability to go. And he expanded. Snockstar didn't punish hard enough. The third base was faster. And now we're seeing this massively in the supply. It's a double supply lead. Snockstar, I think, is just dead. It's going to be very difficult for him to come back from this one. Yeah, no, he is playing the dodo, and Darwin would like to eat him for dinner. Thank you very much. He's very dead. He's going to try to hold on as long as possible, maybe rely on defender's advantage, but 82 supply to 43. Also, I would love, this is a known bug, the imp attack sound is not tied to the volume mixer in the same way that the other two are. So every other sound is. But Snockstar's dead. Ruskov takes game number 3. First patch since August last year when Infernal is the strongest race. Depending on who you talk to, I'm not sure that has been. I mean, Night End. Snockstar's been winning like every tournament, regardless of things. It's been Infernal. I don't think Infernals have really been in a bad spot since EA started. But remember, next patch is probably gonna have a lot more Infernal rework as well. So I have every expectation the balance is gonna be wild next patch. Like I think it's going to be extremely imbalanced next patch, which is fine. It's early access. I don't expect it to be. I don't expect it to be particularly balanced. Yeah, Dragon Spawn Roar is also not tied to the volume mixer, which is fun. I do like the roar, but yes, it is very loud. Slowly but steadily, they're grabbing all these volume sounds and they're just corralling them into their proper pens. But it's not perfect. It's taking a while. But yeah, unfortunately, Snockstar's asking that we just make it a best of 5 if he lags again. Yeah, unfortunately, for whatever reason, where Snockstar lives is just getting significant lag spikes. We're just waiting for that next lobby. So, what do we have? A lobby. There we go. New lobby coming out of Ruskov, and hopefully this is not going to be as bad for Snockstar. Very unfortunate there. Are we expecting more units for each race? Future patches before 1.0? Yes. Who called in the fleet? We are missing tier 2 per their Reddit AMA. We're missing tier 2 and tier 3 units for all factions. I would be very surprised if we entered 1.0 lacking kind of the initial roster. Now, what was very cool, by the way, that Tim mentioned in the Loco interview that I didn't ask him about in my most recent interview with him because we were much more, it was with Mickey, we were talking a lot more about narrative design. But he said something that I mentioned a long time ago on a Real Talk Strategy podcast that I would love to see. And he mentioned the possibility, or in fact, the likelihood that they would cycle units into and out of the game. Instead of Legacy of Void, like with box models, you pretty much feel like you have to go and add more units every patch, every like to make it worthwhile. It's like, yeah, we added units to Legacy of the Void, added units to Heart of the Swarm. But because this is truly a live service game from the beginning, they're going to say, yep, we are removing this unit from rotation as we rework it or do whatever. Here's another unit that fills roughly the same role in its place. And that is awesome. That is actually really cool. That means that you, on the seasonal roll, depending on how that happens, you can say, yeah, you know, I play Infernals, but I got to play them a little bit differently. It shakes up the meta dramatically. It gives you a little bit more chance to have this kind of like maybe Dota style balancing where every balance patch shakes the game up massively, and then you go and you're like, okay, we're gonna go and give a couple number patches or 0.x x.x 0.1 2 3 to nail the balance in. But it's super cool. Yeah, unit rotation is super sick. We'll talk about that more though, but game 3 is currently ready, so we're gonna get into it. So here we are, it's game number 3. What do we got? Conclave coming out of Snockstar, Conclave out of Ruskov. The question for me, as always, is whether he's gonna go drop a natural, whether he's gonna go drop multiple, okay, well, there we go. There's more vaults. How aggressive does Ruskov want to be? Did I say game 3? I meant game 4, Bakano Proto. Thank you for calling me out on my nonsense. But yeah, so I think this concept, we were talking about it in the break, this concept of unit rotations are super cool. For example, you could go and, now I'm just going to take an example of the Hellborn here, even though versions of the Hellborn have been way too strong. Infernal or Hellborn that did splash damage at 14 range versus Hellborn like they are right now are very different units, even if they're technically the same model. Having one of those in, say, yeah, we're going to give you a ground-only Hellborn, a ground-only siege unit. It's very good versus heavy. We'll give you that. And then next season, oh yeah, we're going to give you a super long-range anti-air siege unit, but it actually doesn't hit ground, so you got to have other ways to go deal with things. And it's still, the race still has the same fundamental mechanics, but it plays differently. Or, you know, maybe Miasma is a different spell. Maybe Miasma is you're given a slowing spell. I don't know exactly how it would work, but it keeps things fresh in a way that you can't, well, just having the same set of units just doesn't really allow you to do so. This Hellborn is basically an immortal. Yeah, it's a longer ranged immortal that shoots up. That's kind of a fair way to talk about it. Well, longer range immortal shoots up, and also it's not immortal. It's not particularly tanky. If you get on top of it, it will die. So there is that one. Exactly, Shadow Blizzard. Yeah, that's where we're talking. That's what we're talking about. And I'm all for that. You know, I like what Dota does. They do it with items. You know, you can't really like. There are 120 odd, 130 odd heroes. So you're not going to bring those into and out of rotation, but they do that with items, specifically neutral items. They bring them in, they bring them out. Shake them all about as Ruskov continues to try to get aggressive here. Remember, this is Ruskov on 1 base. He is on 3 vault, and this is kind of an awkward fight for him. I don't really like it all that well. Actually, no, I do. Never mind, I do like it. Brutes are getting on top of a lot of these gaunts. A lot of his DPS was on the right side, and that was a little bit awkward, but now, well, things are going to start to fall down. Now, certainly, this is a greater shrine that is done. So Shroudstone Manifestation is going to be able to serve as a bit of a bulwark for now. But you don't have to fight under the aegis of a Shroud Stone. That's fine. You can just sit here on the edge, put pressure on the vault, put pressure on the shrine, and put pressure on the army when it steps up to try to defend, which is exactly what Ruskov is doing. He's making it extremely difficult. Now, Magmadon's here, and someone asked earlier, are Magmadons still really good against brutes? The answer is yes, absolutely they are. In fact, they got buffed in their single target attack versus heavy, but this Magmadon is likely gonna go down. That being said, I think it's about enough time. Snockstar got enough money to get a Magmadon out, and well, okay, I said I thought it was enough. I said I thought about enough time, but the Magmadon died. This vault will fall, or yeah, the vault is dead. Certainly the Shroudstone manifestation is no longer overpowered, superpowered anymore. Not particularly strong, and well, Snockstar's in a rough spot. The meat farm won't supply block him, but he continues to lose ground here on the natural. And it's one of those things where if he loses the natural, he kind of loses every advantage that he had. So this pressure just continues to force him to fight. Certainly, well, the Gaunts are... the single fiend goes off and kills the Gaunt. Nice target fire there. Now the Magmadon is going to run forward, but once the trample is done, or the... Yeah, it is still trample. Once the trample is done, it doesn't really do a ton here. It buys some space, buys some time, and ideally makes it so some... I split there as well. Makes it so some of these units are not... Well, they soften them up so they can get converted. But yeah, that's going to be another dead one. There's going to be a Nightfall Infest trying to buy as much time as possible here. But it doesn't feel like Snockstar has enough. He is on the edge. He is on the leading edge of potentially making a hold happen here. But every time you feel like he's getting close, he loses more. Every single time a Magmadon goes in, the splits are good enough that it just doesn't feel like it's getting enough done. Yeah, he got a Gaunt, and Gaunts actually don't really do much against all these Magmadons, but now the brutes can just body block it, surround it. It's another dead Magmadon. Eventually it'll fall. Well, it does get another trample off. That's something. That is something here. But again, every time this happens, there's just the Gaunt splash is slowly and steadily taking this base down. Now, Snockstar, this might be enough to shove him back for now. And remember, this is Ruskov on one base, but he's able to, yep, okay, healing camp, yep, retreat back to the healing camp. Very happy there. And that's absolutely a position that Snockstar cannot fight into. Are there plans to add mercenary units in 1v1? I know Zero Space does mercenary units. I am personally not a fan of mercenary units who called in the fleet, because it means that your army doesn't have, if I like buy Vanguard mercenaries or something, that means that I'm not going to have, like, my army is not an infernal army. It's a combined arms mercenary thing, which is not a horrible idea, but it does mean that you don't have this army identity quite as much. As nice split, by the way, on this Magmadon. It killed a single brute. It was not enough, and now the base is gonna fall down here. Good Nightfall, maybe. And, well, okay, so if you kill this entire army at the expense of the base, but you're not gonna kill the entire army, the Magmadon is dead. Snockstar has been trying to hold on to this thing for a long time. And he is now giga dead. He's losing all of his imps. He's lost everything. Game is over. The all-in worked. Ruskov up 3-1. Yeah, not being able to consume phantoms makes healing those high-value units hard, especially with the meat farm dying in the natural. Made it very hard to go, and you just couldn't get the Magmadons back up to full HP. Jan Pilot asks, do I think I could get an interview with Monk to discuss unit design and balance? Probably, but it's one of those things where it changes so much that I think I would like to talk to Monk specifically when one of the faction reworks are done. Maybe all three. But like, once we have Infernal 2.0 done, then I'll maybe talk to Monk. Otherwise, well, actually, I mean, it might make sense to go talk to him for the next patch. I might put a request in for that, because this one I said, yes, it's the campaign rework. We're going to go talk to Tim, and we're going to talk to Mickey about the narrative redesign, because that makes a lot of sense. But as the next patch is likely going to be more campaign and more 1v1, maybe it does make sense to talk to Monk. Who knows? They might have some surprise for us. You know, we might get, oh yeah, you know, we're doing this, but we're also giving you this other thing. And then I'm going to have to talk about the other thing, you know. So I don't know what's happening with that. Oh, okay. This is a best of 5. I thought this was a best of 5 only if there was more lag, but yes. Nice. Ruskov has won the first week of the Stormgate circuit. Lion's share of the prize pool. Points for the eventual finals that's going to happen in about 3 months. But there we go. Okay, Ruskov has, in fact, won the week. I thought we had more games, but I lied. It was a best of 7, but Snockstar was getting enough lag that they said, hey, you know what, can we make this a best of 5? And they said yes. And I misread the Discord conversation. So yes, technically a best of 7, but in this case, best of 5. Should Exos have jetpacks? I mean, again, voice Samuel, a lot of stuff you're talking about. Co-op, fine. 1v1, maybe not as much. Yeah. Also, not even just sounding like Exos. Sounds like the base unit that the Protectorate have in Zero Space. So that would make Exos effectively a unit from another upcoming RTS, which is, you want to have some differentiation there. Anyways, friends, we are done here today. We had 2 IVIs. We had, hopefully the balance will continue to improve as weeks go on, and we get 0.5 on the way. Yeah, Kingdom Blues. I've said this for a while. I've talked to developers I know as well, and they're like, you know, it's funny because you see the lay Stormgate followers like, man, they're not making any progress. The game is not advancing fast enough. And I'm like, guys, look at what they've done every patch. It is actually extremely impressive how much they're getting done. Anyways, we're done here today. We're gonna raid someone up. I'm gonna watch hopefully the last little bit of the Blast Slam. I think they're in game 4 now, and go mow the lawn. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Happy Mother's Day. Go call your moms if you are, or talk to your moms. I guess you don't have to call them if you live with them. Go talk to your mom. Say you love them, and I will see y'all next Sunday probably. See you then. You can go and have splash damage that takes the fiends down fairly quickly. That actually makes a big difference in these fights, as Ruskov's the one that's trying to get aggressive here. Don't know how well this is going to work. Defender's advantage is absolutely a thing. So he's going to continue to poke prod, but it's not really going to do all that much for him. Almost every Infernal mirror I see is all, trying to get to the mid game, and Infernal Fury and Hellborn and Magmadons and Greater Shrine. And this is just Ruskov saying, yeah, no. 3 base, or 1 base, 3 volts all in. Let's go. Replace the Wallace. I was talking about you can get a permanent. I guess it's fine. I guess it was close enough to being completed. It's probably, it's okay. Yeah. Actually, no, that is probably better. A little bit more delayed. It's a little bit slower than what Wallace went for, but now, ooh, bit of a surround here coming in. I do like this. If you can chase him down, chase him away, and for right now, that seems to be what's happening here. Stone. Effigy Phantoms, you can take those down. It's a little bit of curse on top of everything. So this is a reasonable fight for Ruskov right now. He's the one that actually has the speed camp. So it's a little bit easier for his army to reposition, a little bit easier to reestablish that concave. Unfortunately, this is also right into Defender's advantage. Theoretically, that should be good. Going pretty nicely. Yeah, very nicely for Ruskov, all things considered. He still has all of his Gaunts alive. He's going to continue to kite away. And now, well, it's Conclave's dead. And these Gaunts, they continue to kite into and out of the speed zone. They're holding on to it. And Wallace he doesn't have enough.